Hello， 观众朋友，大家好！您现在收看到的是由 Mars 传媒主办的2016康普勒 MDL 国际精英邀请赛秋季赛决赛日的比赛，我是主持人七八。
大家好，我是解说莫罗克。
大家好，我是 Mars 传媒的尤小雪。
是，那我们今天的话已经是进入到这个最后的比赛日了，也是马上要进行的是我们这一个总决赛的比赛，由 Newbee 对阵刚刚从这个败者组杀回来的1G 战队。这场比赛的话，也是昨天他们其实已经有过一场这样一个交锋跟对决了。Newbee 昨天的一个表现非常的亮眼，给我们留下了非常深刻的印象。他们是昨天2比0将1G 打入了败者组。那么对于今天上午这场比赛的话，1G 他们刚刚应该是跟秘密跟这个 OG 进行一个对决，对吧？那么这场比赛的话，两位怎么看？好像梦龙哥刚刚是在解说，对吧？
我觉得这个梦龙哥比较有发言权，因为他刚刚才解说完那场比赛。
那1G 的话，还是在今天调整的状态吧。他们是在这个自己的 BP 上做了调整。然后的话，在面对 OG 的时候，我感觉他们在第3局吧，也就是在开局的时候，那个1G 开悟是直接打了这边 OG 一个10比0，然后拿下了比赛。那个1G开悟其实我觉得有一点运气成分，所以说我觉得总体两个队实力对比应该还是就牛逼还要更厉害一点。
对牛逼来讲的话，
但1G还是有希望，我觉得。
对1G 的话，其实在一开始我们比赛初期的时候就被大家普遍看好，觉得这个队伍的话，现在人员的一个配比是非常豪华的，而且他们在因为近期是没有出现在我们这个国际比赛当中的视野，大家都觉得他非常的神秘。
对。
就这个队伍的话，我们不太好去判断他的一个实力，但就光从纸面实力上来讲的话，我们一开始觉得他是很有可能会成为夺冠热门的一支队伍。最后确实也是他们杀到了这样一个总决赛，但在昨天的比赛过程当中，我觉得 Newbee 给我们带来的这样一个惊喜应该会更多一点。对吧？昨天 Newbee 这个中单生成的一个表现，应该真的是史诗级一般的这样一个表现。无论是他这个第1局的蓝猫，还是第2局的这个卡尔，都是这个非常亮眼。那你们觉得在今天这个比赛过程当中的话，Newbee 会不会说是延续昨天这样的一个竞技状态？
觉得看他们的一个调整。Newbee 的话，其实我觉得从这个系列赛从一开始的中国队里面，他们并不是一个被看好的一个中国队，但是他们现在是已经从小组赛一直走到了最后。
好，我们现在看到应该是我们本场比赛的预测。好像只有这个闷罗克一个人是预测了1G 会取得我们这场比赛的胜利，其他人全部都是看好Newbee战队。
主要我是最后一个预测，然后你们都预测了Newbee嘛，我想有点不一样，这样看比赛会更有意思，对吧？
没错，我们不能一边倒。
我的话是因为比较看好数据，就是在这个前面的一些软件上面，对于他们2个战队的评比，就是在本届 MDL 上。Newbee 战队的胜率是80%，而1G 战队的胜率是57.1%。所以从数据上面的话，我是看好Newbee战队的。
对，光从数据来讲的话，其实我觉得代表性并不是特别的足吧，因为毕竟Newbee是一路从胜者组杀入到我们这样一个决赛的嘛，然后1G还打入到了一个败者组，然后重新又杀了回来。就我看到前面那个数据当中有一个数据也挺有意思的，就是使用英雄这样一个数量，应该是1G要比Newbee稍微领先一点。
对。
就我觉得也是跟他们多打了1轮有关系，对吧？
对，也和他们选手的英雄池有关。他们选手的英雄池是比较深的，各个位置上都是这样。
是的，我们今天为什么会在这个舞台中央放了一个这个飞狗的信使？
对，我也比较好奇这个事情。
这是一只柴犬是吗？
就比较萌。
好的，那我们这边的话也是感谢一下赞助商，感谢康普勒对于本次比赛的大力支持。康普勒提供最天然的植物蛋白，为您的健康生活保驾护航。同时，也是感谢迪瑞克斯提供安全舒适的电竞椅。人生赛场总有我的陪伴，我是迪瑞克斯。感谢 AOC 对于本次比赛的大力支持，专业电竞显示器品牌爱工，生而好战，只为玩家。那么对于这场比赛双方的一个预测，刚刚我们已经看到了。那你们觉得，如果说Newbee想要在这场比赛过程当中取胜，他们可能会赢在哪些方面？
我觉得Newbee主要是要限制住1G的一个带线。我目前Newbee的正面的打架能力是完全要强于1G的，但是1G的话，他们的一个在劣势局的中后期的一个处理，是做的比较好的。他们会频繁的去那种能带线英雄，类似于光法小当家。所以说，我觉得Newbee在限制住1G带线的话，应该就是他们的一个胜负点。
那么小雪怎么看？
我觉得话还是要看一下他们前一段时间的 BP， 在昨天的话也是透露一下，就是在1G不是输了之后嘛，然后苏麦尔还有 RTZ 以及就是他们队员反正是我不记得是谁了，反正3个人，当时苏麦尔的情绪非常的低落，然后他们的就是大哥嘛就一直在安慰他说没有关系，然后最后苏麦尔一叹气，然后一跺脚，然后说 OK next， 然后就觉得应该是他们今天状态是比较好的。
对。
然后其次的话就是对于这个英雄 BP 上的研究吧，昨天晚上不知道他们有没有做什么小功课。
像1G 这样的国际豪门，我觉得对于比赛状态的调整肯定是没有任何问题的。比如他们也是参加了这么多这样一个国际的比赛了。我们现在看到的是英雄的数据。这是我们这个 BP 率的前3位，其中就有毒狗这个英雄。
对毒狗也是双方需要去争夺的一个点。
是的。 那么这个使用次数跟胜率现在看起来最高的应该就是 Newbee 战队了，他们3场比赛全胜100%的一个胜率。
对，而且是小明玩的。
对，这个英雄在整个现在版本当中应该是最强势的3辅助之一。
是的，
那我觉得这前3很有可能就是我们想的那3个英雄了。首先赌狗，然后其次神域，再来就船长。
船长，
对吧？有可能有争议性一点的就是这个船长跟黑鸟或者是跟小黑、虚空这几个可能会稍微变化一点。神域者我觉得应该也是很有可能会在这3个当中出现。然后剩下的话有一个队伍的这个胜率比较低，好像是刚刚我看到这个 VG 战队好像是胜率比较低，赌狗的胜率只有33%。
黑鸟应该算是在本次 MDL 上面出现英雄最多的一个了。
牛逼战队的这个生成使用的黑鸟也是有75%的一个胜率。那么 OG 战队这边安娜的黑鸟使用的场次跟胜率是排行最高的，3场全胜。
100%。
对。
另外一个100%的选手是 FDT.C， 他是2场100%。
对。那么其实 OG 战队他们这个中单安娜也是我们应该是前段时间从国内，然后现在又出到国外打比赛的一位选手。他之前好像是在 IG 进行过一个短暂时间的一个效力，对吧？游走是非常厉害，并且到了中期传游打反手也是非常强劲的一个点。
对。
这样的一个。
我们看到这边牛币的卡卡是4局全场全胜。
对，我们可以看到这前3的这个英雄对于牛币来说都非常的有利。
对，然后1局这边仔的话是3局，66.66%的一个胜率。
没错。
值得一提的是，仔在上一局的这个败者组比赛中，他的船长发挥极度的亮眼，在这个 BO3的第3场，所以我觉得这个英雄应该是双方 BP 是需要去抢的。
没错，那这样
是非班即选。
对，很有可能就成为双方在 BP 第1轮的一个争夺重点了吧？
是的，
就看这个先后手的一个位置了。船长这个英雄的一个功能性，确实在他的一个位置上面很难被其他英雄取代。像原先的话，大家都可能会去拿一些4号位的什么夜魔啊、蓝胖啊，但发现这些英雄都是一些点控制或者是小范围的 gank。但船长的话，他在中后期的这样一个，无论是处理兵线，或者说是团战的一个先后手，都很厉害。
而且船长和赌狗的话，他在线上是技能保人，最主要的话，他可以去游走对面的中单，可以带动其他路，这是现在目前他们2个强势的地方。
现在国内比赛应该最强势的一个3人路就是船长、赌狗配合上一个露娜。
对，
就全部都是这种点的技能，然后输出能力又很强，就打了对方的一个3号位，基本上在前期是不敢去吃经验的。就国内的比赛应该就是在拿到赌狗以后，大家都会去考虑把露娜这个点办掉，但好像在国际舞台上面，大家对露娜这个认知程度没有说国内这么的高，是吗？好，我们这边战队的选手好像是已经准备好了，我们来准备迎接战队选手的出场。
hard at it. Nothing is impossible. And you're not gonna stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it! Stop giving up.
好的，欢迎回来。我们刚刚也是欣赏了一个非常具有这个新意的出场仪式。
对。
啊，首先我们看到这个沙画是把各自的这样一个代表型英雄列了出来，但是，好像应该比较具有争议的是，崽子现在这个代表英雄还能称得上是蜘蛛吗？
对，我觉得应该是这个船长吧。根据他上一句，他的蜘蛛是在这个之前打3号的时候使用的，对吧？
对他现在来讲的话，可能比较具备代表性的，我们大家对他印象也深刻的，像原先他的赌狗，其实我印象也比较深刻，还有像是这个小精灵印象也比较深刻。对，但是蜘蛛确实感觉已经很长时间没有见他使用，对吧？然后还有就是蓝猫，这是苏妙他的一个代表性英雄，但是我觉得就按照昨天的这一个表现来说的话，啊，这个历史不知道会不会改写，因为昨天我觉得这个生成的蓝猫其实也是非常的亮眼。
对，昨天生成的蓝猫是数据13-1-12，这个数据非常的华丽。
对，非常完美的一个数据。
对，说到这个蓝猫，让我想到在最后结束的时候，Newbee战队赢了之后嘛，我刚好坐的车就是跟Newbee战队他们一起回去，然后当时他就在说，我当时就想秀对面，我知道对面来了，我就想怎么去秀他，怎么还能不死？他就一边在这里说，就是我就是要秀。那种感觉就是特别的有自信。
他应该说的可能是他的那个第2局的卡尔吧。那场比赛的话，我们印象很深，就是在最后一波对方小鱼人买活的情况下，我们觉得这个卡尔 最好的可能性就是撤退，就撤走。
是的。
但是没想到他是成功的选择了一波反打，然后成功的将对方买活的小鱼人再次反杀了。就那波的一个节奏，我觉得非常的亮眼，应该也是把自己的这个手感跟气势打出来了吧。我觉得像这种比赛过程当中，手感跟气势特别的关键，因为这样一个很高强度的线下比赛，你的手感要比对手要稍微好那么一点点，很有可能就是一个质变。
牛逼的话，我觉得是一个比较看状态的一个队伍。就这个队一旦是气势起来或者状态好的话，他们所表现出来的一个战斗力是非常强的。
对。
就像我们之前看到牛逼的话，是有一个在老牛逼的时候是有一个连胜的记录，对吧？就所以这个队是一个很看事情、很看状态的队，希望他们能够延续昨天的一个事情。
是的，像这样的一种队伍的话，一旦你被他一直保持着一个连胜，他的一个气势一直是在往上涨的一个状态，你很难去击败他。但是EG也有他们的一个优势吧，就毕竟这支队伍的话，他们的一个人员可能参与国际大赛的经验会更加的丰富一点。
对，
他们每一局可能都能拿出自己最平稳的一个状态，虽然说不可能是最好的状态，但是始终保持这样一个平均的点。那万一要是你有一局可能出现一些失误，那你走的是下坡路，但他始终是在一个平行线上走，他可能就会占据一定的优势，就会很。我们这边的话有一个战队的这个选手数据对比，我们先看一下1、2号位的一个对比。首先看到的是 RTZ 跟这边的199的数据对比。KDA KDA 这边的话199的 KDA 是非常的高啊，是已经完全碾压了 RTZ， 接近13的一个数字。然后输出和资源占比的话，双方的一个吃到的资源跟打出的输出其实是比较相似的。参战率的话也没有差太多。
Yeah, just to translate for you guys, I believe it's obviously KD at the top. The second one is, I want to say, net worth share compared to his team. I know that the fourth one is kill participation, and the bottom one was how many different heroes they played this tournament. The middle one, I can't remember what it is.
就感觉看到前两个的对比 ，KDA 的一个差距
maybe the kills I don't know.
基本上是一个数据上的。
Someone in chat
对，一个都是这个2位数对这样一个单位数这样一个对比，又是一个13.39的一个 KDA， 而且伤害占比是达到了团队当中惊人的37.24%。这个比我们第一天看到的34%还要高。
Oh yeah, middle one is damage. Nice shout. Middle one is damage. There we go.
MDL 效率比较高的一个中单。
So that percentage is comparing it to the rest of the team. Yeah. So that's percentage of team. So yeah. Okay, we'll go from the top. KDA. Percentage of teams' net worth, percentage of teams' damage output, and then percentage of fights they're in, and then the bottom one is how many different heroes they played this lap.
而且，特别是团队以他作为绝对核心进行一个发育的情况下，他能达到这么高的一个参战率，我觉得也是可以说明一些问题的。
这边是双方的3号位，
宇宙哥对阵 KP 的这样一个数据，3号位的数据可以看到 KDA 终于没有那么明显的差异了。双方的 KDA 是接近于持平就只差了0.4这样一个数据。然后资源占比跟伤害占比的话，也是没有什么特别明显的差异。特别是这边的一个伤害占比，这2个人就只差了0.02。场均的参战率的话呢，应该是 KP 会更高一点。英雄使用数量的话，也都是6个，比较平衡。这段时间 KP 也是偏向于团队型的打法，好像不太去经常使用这种类似于这个毒瘤的小娜迦，就是把它作为一个另外的核心去保。可能他们现在的一个打法思路依然是以这个中单的生成作为绝对核心这种打法。
对，包括这个他们的1号位，1号位有9的话也是一个偏打架的核心，他是这个经常进这个队伍的节奏的。然后的话，他们就这样的话，他们的双辅助是有资源，包括也可以去这个频繁的去游走。从前面的数据上对比下来，我们看到1G的话可能是英雄池上占据那么一点优势。
对。
但是他们总体的参战率其实是没有这边牛逼1、2、3号位高的，就是这2个队的一个风格上的对比吧。
对。就我觉得现在牛逼的打法有点类似于就是原先老 OG 的这种打法，就是把这个9000岁作为绝对的核心进行一个保，让它发育的这种打法。
对，
就现在牛逼的这个中单也是一个9000岁，就生前他也是
2个9000岁。
卡卡也是9000岁嘛，对吧？在辅助位上上9000有多难，我这个就不用再多的描述了，大家应该都能体会得到。就现在牛逼他们是被大家评为这个总体天梯分应该是最高的这样一个队伍。
对，是的。
对吧？
他们队里面是有 SC，然后有卡卡，这2个都是上9000的。
对，剩下他们平均下来应该是有8000分的这样一个平均天梯分，这个我觉得还是能够说明一点问题的。就你昨天看他们的一个比赛，你觉得哇，这个卡尔应该真的是有9000分，就很明显有这样一个
操作真的非常亮眼。
对，就很明显你的一个直觉就告诉你，这个卡尔真的是有9000分的这样一个水平。他昨天也是吃了很多的资源，然后打出了很多伤害，让我们对卡尔这个英雄是重新认识了。因为我们其实在比赛一开始的时候， 那个线上赛的阶段，我们看到很多的卡尔都是有一种问题，就是毒瘤。刷钱，但是刷不出这样的一个应有的效率。就你可以刷得很快，但是你参战率跟伤害总是在这样一个后期才能体现，但很有可能对方在前中期就把你直接打死了。所以我觉得昨天这个卡尔的话，应该是把这个卡尔重新的诠释了一遍，让我们意识到这个英雄还是很有这样的一个登场几率的。
这边的话是 SC 的一个数据，单杀次数最多，
我要打10个啊。
旁边还配了个李小龙的一个图片啊。
这边的话是有15个，对，15个这个单杀的次数啊，这是比第2名要整整领先出6个。刚刚导播这边告诉我，这个差距还是非常的明显的。
说到申辰，我想他有另外一个外号叫做铁血将军，因为他那种气质特别像军人的感觉。
他因为他也是确实是当过兵，
对他那个气质就能够感觉出来。我原先跟他的接触最早应该就是他在 Newbee 的时候，那个时候还是这个次级联赛的时候认识他的。 是的。
对，那个时候他还是跟门瑞一个双子星，当时就觉得这个选手应该是非常有潜力的，对吧？就他那个时候的一个操作啊，还有他的一个整体的状态，我觉得他其实是一个比较沉稳的选手。
对。
虽然在比赛过程当中也是会有狂野的一面，这个我们应该是见识到。对，现在呢，我觉得应该是遇到了最好的几个队友，然后把他的这样的一个作用是完全的给衬托和发挥出来。
是的，就让自己的这个天赋是展现出来了。
是的，那么我们刚刚就是一直在聊申辰这个选手，虽然说他的表现很亮眼，但我们也不能忽视就是Newbee其他几个位置的一个存在，对吧？那你们觉得他们现在这个1号为U9这个加入，对这个团队可能带来了怎么样的一个效应？
我觉得U9的话，其实他的这个英雄池，也就是决定了他们的一个整体的一个思路。就是说主保这边的 SC， 然后U9经常会去拿一些前线人打架，像是小狗，特别是这个小狗尤其重要，因为小狗的话，它可以在这个优势路一个人单战线。这样的话，牛逼的双酱油，特别是卡卡这个点，它是可以把这个整个节奏带动起来。特别是它可以去中路帮助这边 SC 更好的去战线，然后去击杀这边的中单。
对。
这样的话，把这边的 SC 保肥之后呢，U9会在这个前中期频繁的去参战，通过打架积累经济，然后形成一个双核都肥。U9包括昨天他的这个小狗这个英雄，他也是操作比较亮眼。有一次我记得是一个切臂章 TP， 对吧？
对。那个操作的话，也是我相信有很多的这个观众可能在他没有进行这样一个操作的时候，也不会去观察到，就是原来在 TP 过程当中是可以切臂章的。因为我们原先可能知道，就是 TP 的过程当中是开引刀是没有任何问题的但是这个切臂章的话，我相信很多人在比赛过程当中是没有去留意这样一个细节。
对，
那么像 RTZ 他昨天的这个表现的话，其实我们大家对他的印象当中，小鱼人的发挥并不是特别亮眼。
对。
而且他现在也是转变自己的思路了，不再去做原先我们印象当中这个大刷子了，就打一些打架的核心，比如说像拍拍熊、哈斯卡、小鱼人，这应该他现在这段时间玩的比较多的3个 carry。
是的，
那你们觉得他的转变怎么样？
对，我觉得 RTZ 包括看了之前那个败者组决赛嘛，他也是参战率也是比较高。他我记得是有一次小狗还没出到臂章就跟着这个队友去打架了。而且的话，我觉得这位选手他在就这次比赛的前半段其实发挥是不错的。我觉得他的发挥是优于苏淼的，但是就是有些时候他会因为一些出装的选择，然后掉链子。像昨天那个小鱼人，我觉得他第一局应该明显是要出 BKB 的。在面对对面卡尔的时候，你知道卡尔的这个技能是各种控制还是输出技能比较多嘛？而 RTZ 这个选手他非常喜欢出林肯，你发现没有？
对。
他
确实这样。
对他很喜欢出林肯。包括他的这个小鱼人底法师什么的。所以我觉得他可能是有些时候他的一个装备选择是比较的关键，这是一个点。
林肯法球爱好者。
对他很喜欢出林肯法球。
好的，我们这边好像双方的第1局比赛已经开始了，我们来看一下双方 BP 的画面。好，那么Newbee现在是位于这个夜眼方进行先手的这样一个半选。对。
小精灵是被ban掉了。
对，面对EG的话，精灵体系尽可能的还是不要放出来，特别是对方在后手这样一个连点方。
是的，EG的也是。
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the grand finals now of the MDL LAN. We've got Newbee versus Evil Geniuses. I'm ODPixel, I'm joined by Draskell, and we finally have the series underway as Game 1 begins. Andy, are you there?
I am indeed.
Perfect. And Andy, here we have it. EG versus Newbee. The last time these guys met each other, obviously just well, it was yesterday or 2 days ago. I can't remember. But it was in the upper bracket, of course. It didn't look great for EG. You know, Newbee looked kind of on another level. Obviously, EG climbing themselves back through the lower bracket, taking down OG this morning. Well, what do you think we can expect here? Are EG going to be able to step that game back up?
I think so. And I think that, you know, with EG's current lineup, there was one thing that kind of struck me versus, you know, Newbee when they played last time, is you watch that Invoker game of SC, and it's like, obviously he played a fantastic game, but I think that Newbee plays more kind of enabling supports, whereas EG I feel like maybe have a bit of a greedier farm spread where more people are taking more of the map. So you kind of have this space problem where you're not really allowed to get as much as you want. But I don't think that EG really showcased what they're actually capable of yesterday against Newbee. And I thought that the first game was actually winnable for them. Second game, obviously, you know, SC went crazy with his Invoker play. But, you know, this time around, looks like we're going to see a lot of pushing potential on both sides. We're going to have Luna, Shadow Demon, and then the Oracle Drow opening from EG. So I would expect pressure pretty much no matter what happens.
Yeah, both teams getting kind of the combos that a lot of people have been after in these drafts. As you said, yeah, ST Luna, Oracle Drow Ranger. The question is, obviously, EG, who do you not want Newbee to have their hands on as well? I mean, obviously, we have seen S.C.C. on the Invoker. It's pretty impressive. And they've got the Shadow Demon, so they can run that kind of setup. I mean, do EG just ban the Invoker, or do you think you can draft around S.C.C.'s Invoker play?
I think you can always draft around Invoker. It's just a matter of what your actual playstyle is going to be. And, I mean, when you're playing a heavy push strat, a lot of the stuff that you want to worry about is, like, hard initiation and other forms of split push as well, which is why they take out the Naga Siren. Obviously, we've seen SC also play Naga earlier on in the tournament to great success. And I feel like it's probably one of the better ways to deal with the Drow strat, because at some point, if you ever fail a push, it just punishes you so much harder because you have this hero who's constantly doing things around the map, you know, wave clearing and whatnot can just be a huge nuisance. And as far as a gameplay perspective, I think that that's probably the best route to go.
Well, we have EG with their 4th ban. And of course, they themselves with the Drow, with the Oracle, Sumail. What kind of heroes do you think he's going to be looking towards this game? Obviously, Newbee banning out his Storm Spirit.
Yeah, Storm would have been really nice, but you pretty much always see that second phase banned when you see a Drow. It's like, obviously Sumail plays a great Storm, but I think most teams would probably take that direction regardless of who they were playing against. So yeah, there's one of the initiators / split pushers also taken out from the side of EG. I don't know if they banned 2 Sumail heroes here. I think Storm is just a little bit obnoxious with the Drow aura in general. They might go for some ban on a Universe hero perhaps, because I'm thinking like Tide might be contested in these drafts. You typically see any kind of push strategy is going to have one hero that has some kind of counter engage or engage capability, and yeah, they're gonna take out the Batrider instead. It's similar, but the Batrider offers you better picking potential than a Tide, whereas Tide is more of just like the fail-safe of the 5-man, so let's see if EG wants to pick that up here.
Let's have a look. I mean, also, I kind of love to see Universe Axe come in again. You know what I mean? We saw him
that was really good too, yeah.
A pretty crazy game on the Axe the other day. And it's something
there's always Beast as well, if they want to maybe have a bit of more transition into the late game, because the Vision game can be really nice against Luna. She obviously has benefit of night vision through her passive, but having the Beast on your team can open up more gank opportunities. The only downside is you're playing it into an SD, which is why I was leaning more towards the Tide, but it's always a possibility just because of how proficient he is on the hero.
EG they are going to settle for the Mirana. Grab that for themselves. Maybe a little bit of obviously denying Newbee from being able to get their hands on it, as they do have the Shadow Demon setup. So EG, I mean, surrendering the Mirana, the Drow Ranger. I imagine this is probably going to be Sumail Mirana, isn't it?
From the looks of things, yeah, I would imagine so. It's nice to have Drow for the same reason as it's nice to have Drow for Storm. I mean, Storm is not really the best laner. Mirana kind of suffers from a lack of base damage, and just having the aura can put you in a position where you can kind of dominate your lane, whereas Mirana typically struggles against some other mids. Like, for example, an Exort Invoker would be a very hard matchup, because she just doesn't have the base damage to contest last hit. So if it does end up being mid, it's going to help a lot that they do have that aura.
Newbee now with the 3rd pick. I mean, if they were going to go for something like S.C.C's Invoker, do you think they take it now? Or do they just leave it until later on in the draft? I mean, you've seen your potential matchup in the mid lane if it is going to be Sumail Mirana.
The only thing that's scary about that is potential roaming, because if they want, EG can still put the Mirana in another support capacity and just pick something else for mid that would be able to secure kills, and that's always something to look towards. If they're feeling confident in his ability to play the hero, though, then there's no reason why they can't take it now. It's just a matter of preference, really. Some teams don't like showing their mid until a little bit later, and some teams don't like showing their safe lane in other series that we saw until their absolute last pick. So teams based on preference will decide, okay, we want to pick something a little bit later on. And you spoke about the Axe. It's not going to be on the side of EG, though. It looks like we're going to get to see KP play this time around.
Either way, I mean, for me, this LAN, it seems to be Axe and Timbersaw, the two heroes that kind of come to mind that we've seen just absolutely, you know, just roll the whole game. And this is looking to be a bit of fun from EG, picking up the Void, and that looks to be the fabled Universe Void, I would imagine, here with this this pickup.
Yeah, I mean, the Axe and the Void, they kind of fill the same spot as the Tidehunter for both teams. It's some kind of initiation / counter initiation hero that can help you when you're in those 5 versus 5 scenarios. I like Void in the sense that his teamfight potential is obviously a bit better than Axe having use of the Chronosphere, but Axe just doesn't have a cooldown. Axe can always fight, and I think that's kind of what Newbee are going for here. Just picking a hero that doesn't rely on having this big ultimate that you want to fight around. Luna's always capable of pushing more or less. Eclipse is probably, yeah, it's their longest cooldown ability right now. So we'll see if they want to just continue to add more and more pressure onto this. And given that pick, you know, EG, they have, well, if we assume it's Mirana mid and Drow safe lane, Void off lane, their lanes are pretty good, but they're not amazing.
Lina Shadow Demon. It's coming through, and that looks to be. I mean, is that going to be a core Lina, or is it going to be just the support Joe? I mean, does S.C.C run this in the mid lane?
I think it's probably support.
Yeah.
I think they're just saving the mid hero until the last possible pick that they can. There might be something that they're looking to ban out of Sumail's, if they don't think that Mirana's mid, and perhaps pick a mid, or if they think it's Sumail Mirana, then they can just counterpick to whatever they see fit. I still think stuff like an Invoker is definitely possible, but they're going to take out the Alp, which is actually also a really good ban. They don't really have amazing damage during the mid game to deal with like an Armlet Radiance Alchemist. I think once he got like 2 to 3 core items, it would have been very hard to stop, and it's actually a very common pick against offlane Voids, because the Void really only offers control. He very seldom offers any sort of damage output, and that kind of goes hand in hand with what I was saying, that the damage output on EG's lineup, unless everyone is hitting the same target, it's actually kind of lacking for a little while, and they're going to need to have like a pretty good early game to get their momentum going.
That's final ban from Newbee. I'm taking away the Ogre from EG, so we'll see now what Newbee's plans are going to be as they reveal their final pick. As you said, obviously EG with that ban, they do expect Newbee here to go for S.C.C's hero, and indeed run that Lina Shadow Demon as the support combo. Invoker's still there in the pool. We know he can play it like an absolute madman.
There's not much catch, honestly, on the side of EG, so I don't think Invoker's too bad here. You don't want to play against a lineup that can get in your face very easily. Invokers really don't like that.
And they take it. I mean, we've been saying it all draft. I mean, you got to think EG, they must have known this was going to happen, so they must feel that they've got a plan to deal with S.C.C's Invoker this time round. And with this final pick, maybe it all comes apparent what the game plan is from EG. But they got to be a little bit. You got to really appreciate the power of SC Invoker after the performance he's given us.
Yeah, he played a phenomenal game on it the other day, no question. But it's also important to note again, like Newbee are picking it in a position where it's good. Like, there are some times when you pick a hero in the beginning of the draft and you get mega countered, and EG going with the... Is this a Zai Warlock?
I'm interested to see who's picking up who it is.
Yep.
It is the Zai Warlock coming out, and indeed the rest of the side, Sumail, Mirana, Universe Void, Arteezy, Drow Ranger, and indeed over the side of Newbee. It's the roles that we expected, but this is certainly a way to open up the finals here. Game 1 of this best of 5 between Evil Geniuses and Newbee. I mean, I've got to ask you, Andy, I feel that you're probably going to say you maybe prefer Newbee's lineup, or do you see a clear kind of advantage here from EG's run?
I think that the one cool thing about Warlock here is the interaction between Fatal Bonds and having Mirana eggs. Just how much damage that's actually going to deal during a teamfight if you land a good chrono. And not to mention being able to like channel upheaval from ridiculous distances and utilize that slow during fights. Because if you think about it, nobody on the side of Newbee has any sort of escape mechanism. So if they overcommit to a fight against a Warlock who has like upheaval Fatal Bonds and they eat some AoE from Sumail's Mirana, it can be pretty devastating amounts of damage. But yeah, I do kind of favor what Newbee are doing a little bit more. I think that playing the Void and the Mirana into the Shadow Demon, you know, if Faith is on point, we've seen how difficult it can be for a Void to really function against this type of team. But it's Universe Void, so if anybody's going to be able to make it happen, it'll be him.
Yeah, that really is the thing, yeah. It is Universe, and we'll see if he's able to pull it off with the big Chronos as the game goes on. So, I mean, yeah, talk to me more about the decision to go for the Warlock here. What is it EG are hoping to do with this specific pick? Like, Zyra, is he going to be moving around the map? Is he looking to babysit someone at the start?
I think there's a couple of things that's really cool about it. He's actually really strong in lane because he has good starting damage. You know, he's obviously going to have the precision aura as well. Shadow Word heal is very, very good in the early game, and it costs like no mana. It's like 90 mana at level 1. That's pretty much nothing. So he can pretty much harass, he can lane support. It's not that the hero is necessarily super weak in lane, it's that most of his abilities have a very long cooldown. So you need to use them and get value every single time. That's why the hero is so difficult to utilize. But there's also another part where if you have Chaotic Offering, it's a great way to disengage from fights that you don't want to take, and it's also a great way to start a fight or set up for things like Chrono, because the stun on the Chaotic Offering now is a bit longer than it used to be, so it's a full second. And you can drop it, get a nice Chrono on top of it, and like I mentioned, the Fatal Bonds interaction with Sumail's Aghanim's in the mid-game. You're going to be having to buy BKBs on Newbee if you don't want to just explode to that sort of damage output. So it kind of solves one of the other issues where I thought that they were going to pick Tide. That gives him that disengage and gives him that teamfight potential, but in a support role instead of an offlane.
I mean, the question is, though, obviously support Warlock, is it going to be strong enough to help EG deal with this aggressive tri-lane? Because Newbee, they're coming down on the bottom with U9 on the Luna, Kaka on the Lina, and Faith on the Shadow Demon, so they want to contest Arteezy's farm. I mean, how well can EG deal with this, or is this just going to be a pretty rock-hard lane for Artur?
I mean, it's not going to be super easy, especially when Newbee get a couple of levels. So at level 1, I think they're actually okay, but you can tell that they're still kind of scared. They don't really want to try to engage if they don't have to. They're just waiting for the creep wave to push up. But yeah, as Newbee get levels, this is going to become more and more difficult. Level 2, you're going to have, you know, potential Shadow Poison. You're going to have Kaka's second spell, whether it be Dragon Slave or Light Strike Ray. And that's enough to kill, so you need to be very, very cautious.
On the other lanes at the moment, Sumail in the mid, 4 for 2 against the 1 for 1. We saw him put a heavy bit of harassment down on SC as well, so Sumail off to a good start. Indeed, that extra bit of a damage from the Precision Aura is certainly helping him out during this early laning stage. And finally up towards the top, Universe. The Void versus the Axe lane. I mean, obviously kind of as a staple, Axe good against melee, but a Void, he can stand up against an Axe.
I still think KP is going to have an advantage. Okay. It's just really, really difficult to abuse things like creep aggro in this type of lane because, as you just saw there, he's going to take spins every time he does. And Time Walk has an extremely long cooldown at low levels, so you're not going to be able to utilize it every single time KP wants to play aggressive.
We'll see if Kaka gets himself a good rune here. He's going to be able to find himself a haste. Hasn't quite got level 2. Goodbye haste. As Crit purges it off there quickly. And the CS at the moment for the two.
By the way, can we just talk about how Sumail is 12 and 4 right now?
He is continuing to dominate this lane. You know, at the start he was in there punching, and this is This is
literally hit every single creep on the first 2 waves. That's insane.
He certainly is having a good time.
He wants revenge, man.
He does. Sumail back for another round against SC's Invoker. And we'll see if it goes a little bit better than previous experiences. CS for both Universe and KP. Yeah, 11 for 8 for 0. So, as you said, KP's got the edge, but Universe, he's still finding something from that top lane. And bottom, Arteezy 9 for 3. And U9 9 for 4. So, both teams getting pretty much equal trades down there on the tri-lane. No one feeling the pressure too hard. I mean, is this good enough for Newbee, or when they run a tri-lane like this, do they need to be coming out on top of Artur's farm and need to be finding kills?
I think they want to be getting a little bit more. I think they want to win this lane harder than, you know, trading slightly better farm. But it's kind of difficult, you know, when you're playing against 2 supports like Oracle and Warlock, because they're both going to have heals, and you can even see right now that Crit's holding onto a skill point. So if somebody gets disrupted, he can Fate's Edict them after they come out of the disruption, and there will be like no magic damage output, which is a lot of the kill potential that Newbee have on this lane. And alternatively, if they want to get a kill, he can just go Purifying Flames and go first. So all things considered, I think that EG are probably fine with this for now, because we've seen Drows in the past get completely shut down in lane and still be able to offer a tremendous amount of damage just by virtue of having the precision aura and marksmanship. So I think for now it's okay.
Alright, we'll see as Kaka. Let's see if it makes any kind of movement towards the mid. Andy, your mic is crackling a little bit. I don't know if there's anything you can do.
Let me I'll unplug it, plug it back in.
Yeah, that will fix it, Andy. A little bit of a go there on the bottom as Brit just looks towards the supports. Still trying to find an opening. Kaka has an arcane route. So now would be a really nice time for Newbee to try and make a go. Level 3 on Faith as well. If they can find a disruption, they can certainly do something pretty nice about this. Back towards the mid, Samael. Still leading 25 for 4 against SC's 19 for 7. And SC starts to catch up, but it definitely is Samael in the driver's seat. It's easy, keeping just about on par with U9 as it really is a battle of the supports. Both of them really sending it out, doing their best to create space for their hard carries. Samael actually relatively low in the mid lane. They brought Universe across. Now, Universe TPing and maybe hoping that the SC would be tempted by Samael's low health, but that isn't going to be the case. And Universe, they just had to make the long walk back towards the top lane, not finding a chance to drop the chrono mid.
Alright, are we good? Is it better?
Oh, you did it, and I think that is better. What did you do?
Alright, nice. I have a mixer, and sometimes the cable, I think, gets a little loose, and I just had to, like, re-fix it, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's much better. Much better. Right, let me just put you back up. There we go. Much nicer. Anyway, Andy, it's 5.5 minutes in. No one yet to die. It's pretty tame at the moment.
Well, sometimes that happens. I mean, the highest kill potential lane is most likely bottom. This is the most heroes down there. But when there's no rotations or anything during the early game and both teams are just going for the straight-up static lanes, then it's more often than not you're just going to see a heck of a lot of farm until somebody hits 6, or somebody decides to, you know, TP to another lane. But I mean, all that movement is going to be fairly obvious given the fact that it's try versus try bottom, so as soon as supports go MIA, you're going to be like, oh, well, you're potentially getting ganked, back off, and there's even less potential for kills in that scenario.
I mean, we did see, of course, Universe, he did look towards mid with the chrono. I mean, he's kind of going back and forth between the top and the bottom. I mean, if he sees an opening down on the bottom lane and he can turn around a bit of aggression, they can, they could take down a few members of Newbee. So I think, Newbee are aware of this and actually kind of splitting up a little bit more around the map. Kaka's headed towards mid with SC.
Oh, he actually hit that.
Oh, does he? Can he follow through? He wants to. Oh,
yeah, I think he's overhit.
Oh, so close. He has to play it safe though. I mean, SC was low as well. That was.
I think Universe
very
either got his TP cancelled or just decided that the TP wasn't going to be worth it. He didn't have faith in the arrow, and then they ends up hitting it like actually max range. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to get close enough to get the double Starstorm. So Kaka manages to walk it off. That would have been a really nice kill for him.
But still, nonetheless, Samael just getting so much farm in this mid lane. 4 TCS at 7 minutes in. Of course, the top of the board at the moment is KP. He's using the aggro very nice and just nearly on 50 CS. So this is going to be quick timings for Axe. He's already got the Vanguard, and he'll start to work towards that Blink Dagger. So we could expect KP to have the start for the potential to have real big impact this game, as he looks to get very good item timings. A couple of smokes picked up by Kaka, and we'll see if they can try and get in position to do something. Faith already moving towards the mid lane. I mean, if they can get a kill onto Samael, that'd be great, because he is having the better time compared to SC. SC backing off, using the Forge Spirits to farm some of the jungle a little bit safer. And whilst this all goes on, RTZ getting more space down on the bottom lane, and now keeping himself ahead of the farm of U9 on the Luna.
Yeah, I think that killing Sumail is pretty tough. I mean, just having the leap escape, there's not really much chase, so I think what they're banking on is just stacking these Ancients. Newbee's got like a 4 or 5 stack right now. I think it's actually 5. His Faith could actually be in trouble.
This looks to be a first blood, unless he can get the Roshan deny. He's going to try for it, but the stun on Rosh, yeah, that's going to do it. Make sure that Rosh doesn't get the final touch in inside. The one to find first blood.
They're going to scout the stack? Oh, he didn't go close enough. Oh, the range creep's going to see it. Okay, so they know that it's there. I don't know if EG necessarily want to contest this. KP went for the Vanguard first build, which will obviously allow him to kill the stack. And looks like EG don't have any intentions on contesting this at all, which means that KP is pretty much going to have a Blink and a Vanguard super freaking early.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be ridiculous amounts of farm for KP, I imagine. He is, yeah, he's right up there next to Samael on net worth at this moment in time. The Universe wants to use Chrono, and U9, he's on his own down top lane. Crit's going to turn up as well, and I don't think U9 can get his way out of this one. He needs backup, and he needs it fast. SD's coming along, but it's too late. As EG able to take down the Luna. I mean, we obviously saw U9 being moved to that top lane, left on his own, and EG quick to punish. And Universe's first chrono, very successful.
I mean, once the lanes break down, that's when you kind of have to expect to see kills. And it's all just because of the fact that KP decided that he wanted to go for the Ancient stack now after finishing the Vanguard. So he's like, okay, rotate out, send U9 to the safe lane, I'll kill the Ancient stack. He's even giving Kaka a bit of EXP here so we can get 6 and get that Laguna. This stack is going to be a huge thing for them. The blink timing is going to be much faster. There's an ultimate available now on a support hero who does a tremendous amount of damage. I think as soon as that blink comes out, Newbee are going to start playing way more aggressive.
And that blink is certainly going to come out soon, as we're mentioning with the farm that KP's getting.
Yeah, he's like 700 net worth ahead at 8 minutes. That's a crap
he had a crazy. And this is something that we're kind of getting used to actually to see. I mean, this seems to be the play pretty much every Axe game now, doesn't it? You always have your Ancient stacks. You always get the Vanguard first. You know, there's never that kind of differentiation before getting the Blink or getting the Vanguard. Because you can do it at that speed, and then with those 2 items at a decent timing, you're jumping into these heroes of EG, and I mean, you've still got to be careful because EG, they do have magical bursts. You know, a few Purifying Flames from Crit and a Starfall and an arrow from Sumail, and you can still go down on the Axe. So Vanguard by no means is going to guarantee us survival. But if you can get a good jump,
it's solely a farming tool, actually.
Yeah.
It sounds weird to say, but the Vanguard is actually how he farms. So, yeah, I mean, it's still a good strategy because EG, even if they contested the Ancient stack, they can't actually kill it themselves. So they pretty much would just, you know, kill KP once or twice, but eventually they would have to back, and then eventually he would get it regardless. So instead of wasting the time and effort trying to contest the stack, they just give it to Newbee full well knowing that there's no freaking way we can kill this many Ancients that, you know, I guess it was 8 or 9 minutes in when it was 5 stacked. But yeah, KP, he's got his Blink, he's got his Vanguard, actually prior to even 11 minutes.
No, that's crazy. And now's the real test though, you know, he's found the items quick. Can he get something big done with them? They've got their eyes down towards the bottom lane by the looks of it. Only Zai here at the moment. RTZ's moved elsewhere. Now with the lifesteal, just clearing up some Ancients himself. Obviously in the safety of his own half of the map, so unlikely that they're going to be able to find him. Nice group up though from Newbee with KP, Faith and Kaka looking towards the mid lane. Jump onto Sumail, could be good. Sumail has got to be careful. They've got the vision of him. But Sumail backing up. They know something fishy's going on. And now with the smoke, this is going to be the test for Newbee. Can they get a good blink reveal? Oh,
they know they smoked.
They did.
Yeah.
So Sumail, yeah, unlikely to be caught out. In fact, EG want to go for the counterplay. Universe, he's got the chrono. Jumps up, now he drops. He gets the 2 supports, but KP did get the 3-man call. SC turns along. Zai drops the golem down. They're forcing back SC. Axe on the back of it, looking for Artur. Now they're going to turn around, start to play with KP. Crit, Universe, and RTZ are going to bully him back. They've already lost the Lina on the sidelines. There's a second death on the side of Newbee. Face Raylo as well. He has to get himself away from the golem. A very, very nice reaction there from EG, as you said. Scanning out that first smoke from Newbee, getting in position to turn it around. Great chrono from Universe. I mean, it's not getting the kills, but you're holding those 2 supports back, and you're holding back that Shadow Demon, the hero that we've seen time and time again save the person that the enemy's going on. And EG able to find 2 kills from it.
Yeah, I mean, SC gets a deny on the tower, which is great. Actually, the biggest thing about that entire fight is Universe dodged the call with Time Walk. If he got hit by that, it would have been a 3-hero call. There's a high likelihood that at least 1 hero would have been in call range after that wore off, and there wouldn't have been a save. So the fact that he didn't get hit by that, and was able to chrono for counter engage to make sure that nobody was going to be able to follow up damage, it just killed KP. Because KP couldn't get into the fight, SC was trying to hit Universe inside of his own chrono because that bubble was blocking the path into the river to the rest of the team of EG. So the initiation could have been so much better if he was even like a split second sooner on that. And the Blink Dagger reveal and the smoke both fail pretty badly here on the side of Newbee.
And Newbee not wants to be thrown off though. Looks like they are going to try and move over. See if they get anyone in the jungle. I mean, for the time being, it's just taking control of EG's jungle. But EG in turn, they'll simply move over to Newbee's half of the map. And Zai putting the pressure in onto the top lane. And looking to work towards the Midas here on the support Warlock. So we can get those big items out, the Ags, and eventually that refresher. I'll see if Newbee want to do anything about this. I mean, at the moment, Newbee hanging around mid lane. Maybe hoping that they can kind of find a pick here. The camps have already been cleared out, and essentially this is time wasted for Newbee. And EG, they'll look to get a tower out of this space. And Sumail coming back towards the mid with an Invis rune. Let's see if he goes for some kind of cheeky solo play onto Unite. There's no eclipse.
Very hard, but super risky.
Especially with the backup being revealed. But Sumail just keeping eyes on this, and yeah, EG, they'll finish off the tower top, so tier 1 down. We'll see if they want to try and fight this. The line's being drawn. Question is if they can get there in time. They do have a fortification, EG, and indeed TP to the tier 2. They want to fight. Universe is the chrono. There's the arrow to come out. And that's going to be whiffed by Sumail, and if anything, just scares Newbee off. So with the TP's back, they keep the tower alive, but they're unable to potentially find the fight that they would have hoped to look for.
Well, they did get the tier 1 in the safe lane from Newbee, yeah. So and at the end of the day, they still made a favorable trade. I think Sumail was waiting to see if Newbee were going to defend, because if he's sitting there with an invis, he can throw an arrow to cancel a TP, and 1 or 2 stragglers means that, you know, EG could potentially counter-engage or just straight up fight over the safe lane tower. So regardless, that invis rune actually ended up doing them a lot of good, because it allowed Sumail to be in a position to give quite a bit of information to his team in regards to what Newbee's movements were looking like, and because of that, they defend their tier 1.
Universe back up to top, nearly hitting on to level 11. Treads, Poor Mans and Vlad, still good item timing here for the Void. And in fact the rest of EG moving in, so really wanting to fight as 5, yeah, especially with Zai, he's got the golem back off cooldown. So EG are in a very good position to take a 5-man. There's Sumail kind of on the front, getting a bit of the bait. You know, Void Universe just heads back to get the last bit of XP to push him over to level 11. And we'll see if Newbee want to react to this. This time, Newbee, they're just going to look for the trades themselves. I mean, obviously with the pushing power of SC, they can take towers fast, and the tier 2 down bottom is gone. More money in the bank for SC. Fortification will come out from Newbee, but not back in time to defend. The EG find the trade. And tier 2's going down on both sides of the map, but Newbee, they're going to be ones to try and capitalize and make more of this as SC and U9 move into the pit. EG, and may look to try and just pressure Newbee to back off and defend, as Arteezy, he's starting to hit onto tier 3s here.
Oh, he canceled the CP. I don't think they saw that. It looks like EG are just going to back off anyway. Newbee popped a smoke. I guess they're just going to go for the 2-man Roche. I think that EG know about this, and they are not going to kill it that fast.
Yeah, it's just pinged out by Crit.
Well, they had wards behind the tower, so they would have seen the TPs from EG anyway, so they're not going to take the risk of being in that spot. They need their axe if they're going to fight this as well, so KP needs to get over here if Newbee want to take any sort of engagement. But Newbee did a really good job at lighting up the map on the side of EG, so they're going to see all the movement for now. They'll understand if we can, you know, safely farm, if they're going to be going for Roche and stuff like that. So until D wards come out, being on this side of the map for EG, all their movements are pretty much going to be read perfectly.
It's a very, very calculated game here from EG, and from Newbee as well. Just 4-0 at 17 minutes in. I mean, it kind of feels that one of the things that is going to hurt Newbee is the fact that, you know, they got that good timing on KP's Blink and Vanguard, but as of yet, he's not been able to do anything with it. He's resorted back to farming, so they don't really have that kind of peak potential where, you know, he hits hard and catches EG off guard at that stage. And EG, they're kind of making the most of that. You know, they've grouped up, they've taken 2 top, they've taken 1 mid, now they've taken 1 bottom. And they may be ready to move in for more again.
Well, I think that taking a full-out engagement right now for Newbee is a bit scary, just because of what happened last time. Like, if KP's call isn't great, then all of a sudden you have this Chronosphere counter-initiation, there's a ton of damage output on the side of EG, and like you already mentioned, a lot of it's magical as well. So KP is really not that tanky with just having the Crimson Guard completed. I mean, it's helpful against the Drow strat, but in the grand scheme of things, you can still get bursted fairly easily, so the Light Shadow going to be used here. Doesn't look like Newbee actually have any detection right now. They have sentries on Kaka, but he has none down.
Universe is going to find Kaka by the looks of it. In fact, KP kind of next to him as well. There's the golden drop, but the Chrono doesn't catch Kaka, but he gets KP, allowing Arteezy to beat down into the Axe. Sumail quick to finish off Kaka. But EG with 2 swift kills, a tier 2 as well. The push will continue. And I mean, at this stage, they don't have the Chrono, but they may be able to force out that buyback from Axe. He's down for 30 seconds, and EG's push with the Golem is going to be pretty fast.
And this is the kind of pressure you expect from a Drow strategy, especially having the Golem to utilize as well. The biggest problem with that is EG backed off, but they never passed ward vision on their side of the map. So you can see that Newbee has those 2 wards inside of the jungle. After some time, if they're gone, and they haven't shown themselves on the map, and you have those wards down, it kind of becomes obvious that they haven't actually gone all the way back yet. So unfortunate that Newbee ended up getting caught by that, because they pretty much walked all the way to the river, sat there for a second, and then walked back. So if you have enough time to do that, you clearly have enough time to walk back to your side of the map. A small thing, but if they were really paying attention, I think they could have noticed.
Well, there we have it. Buyback forced out and KP, but EG getting everything that they wanted from this push. And the only thing kind of stopping between them and going for a full high ground assault is the tier 2 mid. Newbee, they need to fight back. They need to strike hard. But again, it's been scanned out, Andy. These scans from EG. Who is using these
scans? They're literally on point every time.
Give that man a vac ban. Both times, these kind of crucial smokes, and both the times that Newbee needed to kick it off. The first time with the blink reveal, and now when Newbee are behind and need to come into a big fight, it gets scanned. EG back off.
They don't have chrono.
Yeah, this can work for Newbee in the sense that they've kind of scared EG away so they can get into Roshan, get themselves the Aegis, give themselves a bit of a leg up. And indeed,
they probably know what's happening, yeah. So Artur is drawing the line to push mid. He's like, okay, they're Roshing for sure, so we need to push the waves out to make sure that they can't get any objective off of their Aegis. Like, let's keep our tier 2 mid alive. This thing's going to be dead well before they get there. I think that pushing the wave is probably the better play. Unless Chrono's going to be up. Okay, yeah, it's 7 seconds, so they will have it here.
They're hanging around. Samael very much on the front line of this. He will leap away. At the same time, we've got 3 members of EG up towards the north. It's going to be Demonic Purge. He needs a bit of backup. See where it comes from. Universe drops the Chrono, but there's the Shadow Demon Disruption. It's not a great Chrono. And so EG have to get themselves out. They've already lost Zai. They may lose more. Crit going to take a full Eclipse to the face. And SC looking for the chase down onto Samael. Tornado. Oh, it's only a little one. It's only a baby. And that will
That's
not
a
be
one-wax tornado. That's the sad tornado.
Yeah, it's just a little bit.
That fight was... It seemed like EG had pretty good positioning, but the problem was Universe was on the wrong side of the river when he wanted to try to engage, and because of the fact that he doesn't have his Blink Dagger yet, you know, he has maybe 200 gold for that fight more than he has right now, and that would have been a Blink Chrono potentially on 3. But I think he might have overestimated a bit how far the time walk and the Chrono cast distance was, and tried to go for like 2 or 3 heroes, and only ended up hitting the 1. And obviously Faith is outside of Chrono Disruption. As soon as that happens, fight's lost, because they didn't have Zai's Chaotic Offering at that point, so there's no counter engage, and the Warlock was the first one to die in the fight anyway. But with the Blink Daggers being picked up on the side of EG, I don't think we're going to be seeing any more subpar Chronos like that. It'll be a lot easier for him to get in position now. On the bright side for Newbee though, they got the Aegis, which means that they're going to have at least a couple of minutes where they can feel safe and, you know, try to get whatever farm on U9 to bring himself back into the game and get that Aghanims finished up on SC, which he actually does have in his stash right now.
Yeah, SC's still in a very good position in terms of farm, of course, yeah, top of the net worth. As you said, with that big item there. Just needs a few more levels so he can have a little bit of a growth spurt to those tornadoes. He just needs a bit more time. At the moment, Newbee with fights like that are able to slow down the pressure that EG were putting on, and EG were very much putting it. Yeah, they managed to take the tier 3 down bottom, force out buybacks. Now they'll look to move towards the tier 2 mid. We'll see if Newbee have got a bit of a better hope of holding. In fact, they maybe want to. Look at KP's positioning. He's coming in. We'll get the call. Only onto RTZ. Sunstrike as well, bursting him down fairly low. But he didn't get 2 of them, so Newbee will back off. EG's still in the neighborhood. Let's have a look at Universe's Chrono timing. There it is. Back off cooldown. They could go. They've got Chrono. They've got Chaotic Offering. Universe has the Blink reveal. If he finds an opening, it's going to be pretty major for EG. U9's going to be the focus. KP's actually going to be the one to kick it off. Actually tries for a call. It's off the mark. So immediate Moonlight Shadow in response for Samael. They try and reorganize themselves. There's a sentry down for Newbee, so they will spot out Universe coming across near to the tower. But with that whiff kind of bit of play, it looks like Newbee's just backing off, and they realize it's just so hard to fight outside of their base. They want to wait for the high ground defense before going all in.
Yeah, the tower was too low to warrant defending at that point. And the problem is, if you take the fight there, and the tower is already low, and you lose the fight, then you have to commit so much more, and being inside of your base makes it a lot more difficult for EG to actually take the engagement. So having Universe get a nice Blink Chrono in a tier 2 is much more reasonable, but blinking into their base to get a Chrono is another matter entirely. But now the issue lies in the fact that their Rax's bottom are exposed. And with the Manta style out onto Arteezy every time it's up, you know, if they want to go with the creep wave, they can chip that range Rax down. It just depends on how much they want to commit to this.
They really do have all the tools. As you said, it's all about the jumps, and in response for Newbee, a lot of it on the positioning of Faith, making sure that he doesn't get caught out in these big AoE ults and is able to react and save one of the cores with a disruption. EG, I mean, do you think is there much pressure on EG to keep this tempo up? Like, if this does go on, do they just get crushed by kind of a late game Invoker and Luna? Or
no, I don't think so.
There's not that much pressure for EG.
I don't think there's like I don't think that Newbee has amazing late game in comparison to them or anything.
Yeah.
You have like Chronosphere, Mirana scales very well with her damage output until BKBs, and then Drow is always going to hit hard. She's less like mid-game oriented than she used to be, I think, with the addition of stuff like Aghanim, so if the game starts to go long, he can go back for it, he can farm up a Storm. Yeah, I don't think EG are necessarily scared of Newbee's late game. But I guess the worst case scenario is you mess up a high ground push or two, and then you get the Shadow Demon Luna combination with illusions that starts to become very annoying. But even that, you know, they still have Mirana, and Mirana kills illusions like instantly with their Aghanims.
Yeah, and this is the thing as well. I mean, you look at the net worth difference. It is only 2k in favor of EG because they're kind of putting a lot of eggs in grouping up and going, whereas Newbee have been able to split up the map a bit. Well, indeed, Arteezy being focused. Crit's going to be there, keeping him alive, saving him from the magical burst. He'll be allowed to walk out. As, yeah, a bit of an unfortunate use of the Laguna Blade there onto Artur when Crit already had the barrier around the Drow Ranger. And with that, they'll group up. There's a mech now onto Zai as well. KP tries a bit of a jump in. There's the only catches Kaka. It may be good enough that they're looking for KP, but SC coming in with a combo. Is it going to be enough? The Golem's drop. KP is going to be protected by the disruption now. Unai moving in with the Eclipse. Sumail trying to turn, face them back. KP jumps back into it. The Luna Blade takes down Sumail. KP trying to get the call onto Arteezy. He's going to find it. He needs a few spins. There's one. He needs another. He does get it. Takes down Arteezy. The final nuke from Crit's Purifying Flames punishes KP though. Now Newbee, seeing if they can chase down for more. Zai and Crit, they're left, the turnaround, but Faith there with the defensive disruption. They need to kill this Golem because Kaka's low, Faith as well. They're incredibly low here. Not quite low enough for Crit to burst down. There's everyone out of mana, so Crit and Zai will back off, but EG losing 3 there and only taking 2. They do manage to find the range Rex though, but the melee Rex still stand intact.
These Chronos are actually not so great from Universe this game. I think he landed... He's really only hit one hero spheres as far as... Oh no, he hit 2 one time.
He did hit 2, yeah. That was that one pretty good, but yeah, other than that, I can't remember who he got in the mid lane, but it wasn't the Shadow Demons, so there was the disruption, and yeah, as we saw in that one, he only catches the Lina on the side of it.
Yeah, I mean, he went for the greedy one there because he wanted to hit KP and the Lina, but KP walked forward as soon as he saw the time walk, like, outside of his face instead of towards the well. And I think that was something that Universe didn't expect because he just simply walks out, and then all of a sudden, you know, you look a little bit silly after that. But those spheres, you can't break the high ground with those. You need at least 2 heroes, and I think that U9's positioning was amazing during that fight because the creep wave from EG was pushing in when he popped Eclipse, but he still managed to like not hit a single creep with his entire ultimate, and a lot of that damage was what ended up killing Sumail in the end. So very well executed there from Newbee, even though the start of the fight kind of was Kaka wasting his ultimate, but turns out that they didn't need it.
I do like this from Zai as well, that the kind of the Midas into Greaves, because you know they're EG, they're definitely trying to put all eggs in the basket, pushing and going now, and having a Greaves could help turn around those engagements. I'll see Kaka and Unan are going to be spotted out down on the bottom lane. Arteezy trying to chase forward, but they're already backing out. They're going to be fine. They're going to be safe. As Newbee now catching up on the board, 5 to 8. Imagine with a defense like that. Yeah, it's pretty much just flatlining this difference around the 2k mark, so pretty much nothing at all at this stage of the game. So, as you said, EG have got to be a lot more careful with these high ground attempts, and a lot of weight on Universe to hit those chronos that, as of recent, he just hasn't been able to find.
Well, the difference between a good chrono and a bad chrono this game is, like, insane because of how much damage you have inside of the sphere, because you have Drow Aura, you have Sumail's Aghanims, you have the Fatal Bonds, and even Oracle does a fair amount of burst with level 4 Purifying Flames. So if that chrono lands well, you win the fight, like, almost every time. And even if you're only hitting, like, 2 heroes, you still have Chaotic Offering for that another form of a disengage or counter-engage, whatever you want to call it. And I think that really the only way they lose these fights is if Universe only chronos 1 hero. And the hero is not like, you know, Faith or not a core after the Shadow Demon has already used Disruption. That's pretty much the only criteria he has, is just hit a hero that Faith can't disrupt.
LGD Grouping up again to go. Sumail has the E-Blade done as well, so the potential to burst down one of these supports on Newbee. And RTZ is going to get called straight away by KP. Crit again with the crit reactions, making sure that there's no way that Newbee can follow through that. DG just regaining their position. Pressure was put on the top line by SC, and he's done a sizable bit of damage here to the tier 3. Now down to half health, so they have got to be a little bit aware of the potential Invoker Rat. And the Tornado into the MP onto Artor. Greaves are popped. Getting themselves ready to go back in. KP again with the call onto RTZ. Let's find there's just no kind of follow through by the looks of it from Newbee. They're very aware that Universe is in the neighborhood with a Blink Chrono at the ready. So they've got to be so careful on who they jump on the side of EG as that Chrono's always going to be there ready to counter them.
It's kind of tricky from both teams, and I think that right now KP is doing the right thing. Like, even though he's not getting the kill, and he's not really doing a heck of a lot of damage, he's still preventing the Rax from taking the damage. But now, here we go.
Look at this damage beating into him. The Crimson Guard, the disruption will save him. Universe jumps in, holding the Chrono for the time being, gets himself out. This time doesn't see the angle. He'll save it. Problem's going to be dropped onto SC. Universe falling low, but the false promise is there. He drops the Chrono. This time he catches two, but there's no follow-through damage because on the back lines, U9 with the BKB and the Eclipse is going absolutely ham. Universe is out of this one. The rest of EG starting to split, starting to try and get themselves desperately out of there. Zai, he'll be able to TP, but the Light Strike array from Kaka catches out Crit. Crit's going to go down as well. Down towards the bottom though. RT turning around onto KP. And Artor will find a kill in return, but still a 2-for-1 trade favoring Newbee. And SC straight away trying to get a bit of pressure on the top lane, knowing that EG with 3 men only on the map, a little bit harder for them to hold these lanes.
Man, that's like the 3rd time in a row Universe is like... he didn't cost him a fight there, but he goes in, and he like tries to chrono, and then second guesses himself, and then tries to get out, which ends up him getting so low that he's forced to be false promised by Crit in order to not die. Then he has to throw out another suboptimal chrono because he's gonna die in the duration of the ult no matter what. And now Roshan.
He will find.
Yeah, SC is gonna be dropped here.
That's a big kill. He did go in because Zai was tempting him. You know, SC gets Zai, but paying with his life. That's not the trade that the Invoker would have wanted. As EG still holding on to this game, 10-8. Very, very close indeed, and yeah, as you said, eyes on Roshan. EG can take it incredibly quick. I mean, even to the point where, do you think SC buys back for this, or do Newbee just have to let this one go?
If he was going to buy back, I think he would have already.
Yeah.
I mean, they could maybe defend with just the call. I'm not sure.
He's going to buy back.
Okay, he's going to buy back
He's
now.
getting himself in.
He has bots.
RTZ gets a good gust. I mean, forces back the side. And yeah, indeed, look at this. The sweep around from SC coming in from the right. EG already splitting. He'll get the Tornado. Controlling Crit. They can take him down. Cold Snap and the Dragon Slave to bring him out of the fight. Immediate buyback from Crit. They realize that they've got to fight this EG. They really want to contest the Roche, get the chance of taking the Aegis for themselves. But Newbee back into the pit. It's incredibly low. EG needs to make a play quickly. Silence onto Fate, but Artor caught out in return by the call. The Laguna Blade, the Sunstrike, everything on him. Drow Ranger's out. And Newbee, off the back of that kill, back into the pit with no Drow Ranger. EG with limited options in terms of contesting this. And Newbee will be able to secure themselves the Aegis on SC. As at this point, EG have got to be very, very scared about how the game is going, and indeed, SC.
SC's on the hunt.
Eyes onto Sumail. Here's a bit of 9k action for your boys and girls. Cold Snap, Ice will Sumail, left, right, shake it all about. Demonic Purge, False Promise will come out, that's going to be enough. He's going to be fine this time. And so the save was there from Crit. And still 10-10. 33 minutes in. This game's getting harder for EG. The gold graph, for the first time, may just about sweep over to Newbee's advantage, but of course it's still so close. This is an insanely close game. I mean, at this stage, you feel it's still 50-50 either way, or is someone in a better position there?
I think Newbee are definitely in the better position. I mean, more than anything else, it gives you a confidence boost when you win multiple team fights in a row. And their base defense has been pretty good. They only lost the range racks. I think that it's very hard to defend against what EG have, because they have 2 really good forms of team fight in the Offering and the Chrono. So the fact that Newbee have fended them off like 3 times in a row, taken Roshan away from them, forced buybacks as well out of the side of EG, I think that's a really good thing for morale on the team. So for now, I would definitely say that Newbee, they hold the advantage. I mean, look at what happened in the last engagement by Roche. They killed Crit. Crit knows he has to buy back because Roshan's going to be done. And then because Crit's not actually back in time, Artur goes into the river, ends up getting picked off, because he knows that, he's saying to himself, we don't contest this, it's going to be really bad, we can't push again for another 6 minutes. So he dies, and now all of a sudden Newbee are going to regain map control off the back of that, and that's something that they pretty much haven't had for a very, very long time.
Again, another good scout from EG. And we'll spot out Newbee. Are indeed in the moment in their jungle, so they'll back away from that top lane, not wanting to be caught out. Obviously some notable item pickups. Kaka just managed to finish off the Ags on the support Lina, so it's going to be...
Oh god, he has an Ags?
Yeah, it's pretty insane. Just the involvement in these frequent kills. It's got him right up there.
He can pretty much just solo kill freaking Oracle.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be able to Fate's Edict yourself against Ags Laguna, you're still going to die. But yeah, his burst damage now is becoming more and more of a problem. And the nice thing about having Lina and Axe on the same team is your burst on a Lina sets up for the cull. So you know that, a Sunstrike or Laguna is pretty much going to put anybody in cull distance, and you just chop them. And just move on to the next target. But here we go, Newbee. They're smoked, they got their Aegis. They have all their teamfight items ready, and they're looking for battle.
Absolutely. Where's your scan now, EG? They could get caught heavily off guard by this. KP leading the way. He's found Crit. No escape there for the Oracle. Crit's out. The question is, can they find themselves anything more? The pings come through. They know that there's more than neighborhood. Universe straight out with the TP. Sumail as well. Quick to escape. So they all managed to get themselves away. But 50 seconds opening now without Crit support. Newbee could look to abuse this and try and go in hard on the lanes.
Yeah, this is going to be the last tower falling for sure. I don't think that EG have any want to contest this at all. I mean, it's really getting out of hand now, because even though, Sumail can push out the waves pretty well, I really feel like Aghanims might need to be a thing on the Drow soon if they're going to start to have to play the lane game. Because before, they had the full lanes pushed out, but now it's kind of reversed itself because they failed 3 high ground pushes and then they lost Roche. So EG are now the ones in the back foot. And this is a situation that I was talking about earlier when Newbee get to your base with the Luna, and they have the Shadow Demon illusions, your tower just starts to take chip damage. And you can't really initiate on a hero that has that much health in a BKB.
Absolutely. I mean, that tier 3 goes down without Newbee having to even bat an eyelid. There's just nothing that EG could do to slow that down, and as you said, the illusion spam can potentially become real. But Newbee obviously still respecting the fact that EG have that Chrono into Chaotic offering. They've got to be very careful about being caught out upon by. Faith has got his Blink Dagger though, so Shadow Demon's disruptions will be a little bit more easier for him to pull off for the big saves if any of the cores do get trapped in the combo of EG in this team fight. Now, EG for the time being doing their best to keep Newbee away from it. As he just sends in a bit of a tornado combo. Sees if he clips anyone, but Newbee for the time being looks like they'll back up and maybe look to push out the other lanes as well, as they are reaching over to their half of the map so they can try and get a bit of pressure onto EG from all sides.
Yeah, I mean, mid and bottom are pushing pretty far in their favor, so just having the Forward Spirit stop with the Meteor drop will be enough for SC to get that lane going in Newbee's favor as well. And this is scary territory for EG. I mean, this is a necessary smoke, but it's also a very hard one to actually pull off, because when you do that kind of smoke, I think the ward might have even scouted it, honestly, the one that Newbee placed, but they smoke, they're walking across the map. Newbee have full information as to what's going on here. They are not going to be caught out of position. They're even surrounding the area that EG are running to. They are reading this perfectly. Like, they know exactly what EG have in mind.
EG indeed, I think they realised the gig's up for that smoke. They'll just look to push this bottom lane back around. In terms of item build-up site, working towards the Ags. I saw Universe was going for that, the Aghanims himself as well on the Void, by the looks of it, just realising how crucial it is to win the team fights to have those Chronos available. And he's about 1k gold away from it, Universe.
Yeah, it's the best item for the situation, like, I think, hands down.
Yeah.
Maybe, you want a BKB to keep yourself safe or whatever, but honestly, if he hits a good Chrono, even if he dies, like, immediately after, it's not like he's giving his team damage. It's more just like, I'm a Chrono and I'm a Time Dilation, and that's it. It's not until you get, like, your 5th and 6th item that you start to do your own damage output, so I think it's the right call on his part, and the consistency of a 60-second Chrono, that's going to help a ton for them.
Oh,
nice
Kaka.
Arrow.
Oh wait, no way, no,
that ain't happening.
Yeah, that was.
It was a nice thought.
He literally just walked into the hitbox as well. It was right on the tip.
I mean, to be fair, there's no way Sumail knew that he was there. He just threw it out, and because of the way that he was walking around the trees, he had no way of seeing the arrow before it hit him. Because it like lined up with the trees perfectly. I mean, he did make him waste a sentry in a dust, so that's something.
Well, one man down on the side of Newbee, EG. We'll see if they feel that they're in a bit of a better position to try and get a fight on the high ground.
I think SC needs to back here. This is... he wants to get the Ranger X, I guess, first.
He wants to try it. Nah, yeah. Is he going to back? Yeah, he's just going to drop the Forge Spirits and get back. Easy being the focus of the moment. It hits a Gus, forces back KP. The Demonic Purge down onto the Drow Ranger. Now gets forced back. Chaotic Offering dropped on the back lines, but KP gets himself in with the two-man call, and now U9 coming in with the Eclipse. Zai falling low. Warlock to be the first drop here. Crypt in the midst of it all as well. He's going to drop down. Tarteezy trying to hold them back. Faith jumps forward. Artor trying to play around with the side here, but KP's in. They've surrounded him in the tree lines. They'll take down Arteezy as well. Meanwhile, though, worth noting, in the middle lane, Invoker did end up going down to what looks to have been Universe catching him with the Chrono, and Sumail being there as well. So they had enough burst to kill at SC. So, well, actually not going to be mentioned there on the fight recap. So it's a 3-for-1 trade. They do just hold on to the melee racks because SC was going in hard on those racks. But yeah,
I think EG just didn't communicate properly what was gonna happen. Like Universe TP'd back way before everybody else, right? Because they had the Moonlight Shadow, so he was scouting out SC. And the only person who has enough burst, I think, to kill SC in that time is Sumail. So if they were going to do that, then they needed to back a lot sooner. Because as soon as you start to see TPs and as soon as SC gets jumped, you have to expect Newbee to make some kind of move. They're not just going to sit in their base when they have a Blink Axe and let you just hit their buildings. So maybe could have been executed a little bit more cleanly and gotten a kill for free and then just backed off. But they did end up losing quite a bit for that. So in the grand scheme of things, I still think it's probably better for Newbee.
Oh yeah, getting those 3 kills and yeah, just shutting down EG's maneuver at the top. And Roshan is back in play. They'll have the full 5-man up on both sides in a few seconds. Newbee into the pit straight away. EG, they've got to make their way over there. The line's been drawn. They are going to attempt to get there in time. Universe, no Chronosphere for 30 seconds, and that's just going to be a little too long by the looks of it. As Newbee already bringing down Roche to half health. So if EG want to contest, they're going to have to do this without Chrono, without Chaotic Offering. And that in itself just seems like a bit of a hard ordeal for them to go through.
Yeah, I don't know if they can. I think they just have to give this up. I mean, their teamfight control is pretty much entirely through ultimates. That's how their lineup works. And that's one of the big issues when you have this style of team comp, is once you are not sieging, your lineup becomes super weak, because you don't have the control during the fights to reliably be able to get kills. And you're so reliant on things like Chronosphere to be able to get those kills that if the Chrono isn't good, we've seen how much it can affect the Void player who's under that much pressure. I mean, Universe is probably, one of the best Void players in the world, if not the best. And he is not really having that great of a game because of how much he absolutely needs to land good spheres. And that kind of pressure can really affect anybody. So they're now kind of in this position where Newbee are the ones who can dictate the tempo. They can fight on, the drop of a dime. They don't have to wait for this Chrono. They don't have to wait for a Chaotic Offering. Even Eclipse, while it's still useful, it's not like something that they absolutely need to succeed.
Absolutely not. And especially in the next fight as well, the fact that SC's got the Aegis, of course, and U9's got the cheese. I mean, at this point, EG themselves, I guess they just have to wait that Aegis down. I mean, is there any way that EG can try and fight whilst they have the Aegis and cheese on Newbee?
I think it depends on if Newbee ever decide that they want to split up. I guess there is something to be said for, Newbee's lineup. The way that it works is it's usually just 4 heroes sticking together and then SC off on the other side of the map trying to do something. If you can read his movements and maybe catch him out, that might be one way you can take a fight, because he does have Aegis, but a lot of the time, prior to Roshan dying, his team wasn't really behind him that much, but it looks like with that Aegis, they do want to just be as a 5-man squad, and this is a very, very hard team to fight into.
SC leading the way with the smoke from Newbee. It's going to be a scan from Newbee. They'll see that someone's there, but Zai quickly TPing out. SC, he's got the lockdown onto Artor. Is there going to be any kind of save? Hurricane Pike himself back to safety. Chris there as well if necessary. Newbee getting themselves potentially ready to utilize this Aegis and cheese and try and finish off what SC tried to go for earlier. This melee racks in the mid lane. We'll see how EG can react to this one. As Newbee is going to take their time, look for the positioning.
EG are in such a bad spot right now.
Oh, SC's actually coming. He gets Chrono by Universe, but KP avoids the Chronosphere. They need to kill this Invoker quick, but the Deafening Blast comes down. The Chaotic Offering is dropped onto the Invoker. He goes down, but he has Aegis back for round 2. RTZ with the BKB trying to fight, but Fate, the disruption, saving KP for the time being. Now U9 comes in with the Eclipse Side falling low. U9 manning up against Universe. There's 2 dead on the side of EG. Sumail coming in, trying to clean up with the E-Blade, and he will find the kill onto Luna. So EG do manage to force them back. They lose the melee racks. Looking for more. Jump 4 from Universe. He's got his eyes on Kaka. They've got a sentry as well, so EG will find the 3rd. So considering that was a defense up against Aegis and Cheese, you know, they do lose the melee racks, but EG, they come out on top with the numbers.
I mean, you also have to consider how hard Newbee went on that. Like, U9 was hitting Zai under tier 4 towers with 2 chaotic offerings beating on his face. I'm pretty sure they could have disengaged from that a little bit better after that chrono. Because again, it only hit SC, right? Which is fine. I mean, hitting the Invoker at this stage is perfect because he's the one dishing out a lot of the damage during the fights, and he also offers a fair bit of control. So I think that chrono was actually okay. It's just, they went all in. Like, they did not back up even an inch. And Newbee were just like, yeah, we're getting this rack, so we don't care what it costs. That's really what it felt like when they were taking that fight. But I mean, it does help EG in the sense that they got a lot of golden experience from that, so we'll see if they can make use of it.
EG coming back across the map again. I mean, EG themselves, is it best for them to wait until Roche is back up before they try for high ground, or do they just have to use any opportunity they have to try and break the base and get Universe in there with the Chronos?
I think that more than anything, they just want to have some kind of map pressure. So not necessarily going for an objective like a tier 3 or a Rax, but just pushing the lanes out as best you can. Because that's one of the more stable ways to ensure that you're going to be able to contest something when it actually becomes available. If you don't have the lanes pushed out and you allow Newbee to just walk down all 3 lanes and shove them to your side of the river, you're going to have a lot harder of a time smoking because it's going to be obvious. You're not going to be able to freely walk the Roche. So I think more than anything, you know, just try to abuse the fact that you have that Sumail Ags and push waves as best you can with those bots as well. It looks like they want to try to go for a smoke. At least they're grouped up right now. Maybe talking about waiting it out a little bit.
I mean, the farm on some of these cores is incredibly impressive. I mean, even on the supports as well, it started to step up this whole game.
Yeah.
Sumail walking around pretty much 6 slotted. I mean, Sumail, there's not really much, obviously, other than the upgraded bots and a Moonshard that he can go from here with that MKB done on top of the BKB E-Blade.
He's kind of like a hybrid Mirana. He's got the Aghanims plus the E-Blade, but he's also dealing a huge amount of right-click damage because of the Drought Aura and, like you mentioned, the MKB. I think it's a really solid build for this type of game because you need to be able to kill the Luna. And the Luna, the Illusions might die to your Aghanims, but she's not going to die to Aghanims on its own. You need something else to be able to hit her. And it looks like Artur is going to be taking the same path to MKB as well. So when those come out, they will have the damage. Again, it's just all about the ultimates. If they can line them up properly, they can win a fight.
It's certainly kind of been back and forth in the sense of the map control. You know, one team loses a bad fight, bad defense, and suddenly it's the other side that is putting the pressure on. You know, we saw Newbee kind of keeping control of the whole map, and then that one bad push where, you know, they get the racks, but they lose a sizable fight. And EG, they're the ones that are out here keeping tabs on the lane momentum and maybe preparing themselves for a bit of a push down the mid lane. Universe constantly just hiding in the trees, hiding in the sidelines by his team, just in case Newbee do come out for a bit of a fight, bit of a skirmish, and look to kick it off themselves.
Kind of funny to me after watching this game. I was thinking to myself in the back of my mind, when I was watching EG go bottom for the first time, I was like, this could be a 25-minute game. Because they actually have all of their ultimates. They have Greaves on a support Warlock, and they're pushing into Newbee's tier 3s at a very early stage. And that, to me, was like an incredibly hard push to defend. And then 3 defenses later in a Roshan, Newbee are just looking like they could take the game at any point. I mean, granted, EG can kind of still do the same. But I think it's harder for EG to take this out than it is for Newbee.
Yeah, I mean, it is very, very close in terms of net worth. As you said, it's just all about the execution in these fights. MKB, as you said, was being built by RTZ, now complete. And going all in as well. So, no buyback will be there for this man if they do decide to kick off a fight soon, EG.
I think that's the item they were waiting for.
Yeah.
I think with a double MKB, they should be able to burst a Luna pretty reliably.
Here we have it. RTZ with the bait, potentially. He's going to lead the charge as EG, the rest of them, smoked up on the side. We'll see if Newbee do fall for this or make any kind of attempt on Artur that EG can turn around. As Newbee get themselves in position for the defense. The full 5-man ready to go. RTZ still leading the way now. Now looks to back off the smoke. It runs out as EG not quite getting the attention that they wanted from Newbee at that stage. And if anything, just keeping control around the Roche pit. We'll see the respawn timing out. Is it going to be decent? It's just over, just under a couple of minutes. So EG could very well wait for that and just hang on before going in too hard. And to be fair, with this kind of tempo of the game, that very much could be the play. And another item picked up. It's going to be the butterfly complete for Sumail as well. So yeah, he is really getting away with himself.
Yeah, the right-click build I think is probably the proper way to go about this.
Yeah.
And it's really scary for both teams because one bad fight with how much damage both drafts are bringing to the table at 50 minutes in, your base will just melt.
EG with the 5-man
Arrow.
as they come around for the wraparound. Universe jumps in. SE is going to be defensively disrupted by Faith. The Chrono will be dropped. It catches SE, will allow them to get the Invoker kill. Now they look towards KP, closing in onto Zai. Zai kept alive by Chris. False promise there'll be a buyback from SC. Kakra at the moment kind of left on the sidelines in the pit. There's literally he can offer. U9 pots the BKB Eclipse as well as he looks to chase down RTZ, backing off the Hex onto Crit. SC coming back into this fight with the buyback. Crit and RTZ are down. Zai just kind of standing at the sidelines with the upheaval. But the rest of his team starting to shatter as Sumail. He's been stunned up. U9's there with the chase down as well. He'll look to try and take down Kaka with it. In fact, Sumail gets the kill. And he may actually be able to escape. He's going to have Blink, so Sumail managing to find a bit of a trade off the back of it all. As the fight will end. And EG lose 3. Newbee do lose 3 as well. And, of course, SC did use the buyback in that fight. And so did KP. So all in all, again, good gold trade for EG. So they managed to make a sizable difference there. And we'll see the graph swing back the way of the side of Evil Geniuses. So Newbee needs to find something else from this bit of play, and it is going to be looking towards Roshan. That's what they're going to attempt. And EG was still 2 men down for 30 seconds. It should be long enough for Newbee to get this. So again, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, it's still a super even game. If Roshan had not been up, I would say that EG just crushed that fight, but a double buyback in order to secure a cheese Roshan is actually still okay, I think, from the side of Newbee. This is a really rough situation for EG because they committed a lot there to being able to get some kind of advantage. And then the objective that maybe they themselves wanted to get in the end game still ends up going the way of Newbee, regardless of buybacks at this point. Like, you know, SC, he's got all the items that he really needs at this point. He's not really going to get that much stronger. And I guess you could say that, you know, U9's pretty much in the same boat. Maybe he finishes up Dragonlance or excuse me, a Hurricane Pike, or maybe he sells a Dragonlance and buys something else. But yeah, we're getting to the territory where these cores really aren't going to be getting too many more items anyway. So spending money on a buyback really just means that they just need to not die again for the next couple of minutes, and it's not really an issue.
U9 coming fairly far out here.
Good Shadow Blade.
He doesn't actually have anyone else near him. As EG, they've potentially found themselves a free Luna. He'll pot the BKB now, the backer comes across. SC manages to close the gap. Sumail trying to man fight up against U9. Crit has to false promise himself as the combo from SC being dropped onto the Oracle. Universe comes back in, hits the bashes, SC's down. He's got the Aegis ready for round 2. They can't afford to lose him again because his buyback is on cooldown. SC being focused, U9 taking the right clicks. U9's going to fall, they'll lose Luna. Find anything more. KP being focused by the side of EG. Falling low, falling fast. The chaotic offering from Zai dropped on SC. SC hexes up Universe, allowing himself to get out of there. The chase continues as Sumail was looking for Faith. They get out, but again, 2 down on Newbee. There's no buyback, of course, for KP. His buyback on cooldown. U9 does have a buyback available, but Universe, he's going to have the Chronosphere ready for this push as well. So EG in a good sweet spot at the moment. We'll see what Newbee can do to stop it.
I mean, they can even split up and have Sumail go bottom if they want to. It's looking like he's going to try to go for kills. They're going to force a buyback after Luna at least. I don't know if they're going to continue to commit to this. They have to know that KP doesn't have buyback. Like, he bought back for the bottom fight, so they should know that. With that information 4v4, with Sumail like being as strong as he is right now and his BKB being up, they might be able to do something.
Let's see what they can achieve here. Just cleaning out the golems. RTZ a little bit low at the moment.
I guess not having the Oracle is making him a bit too scared to push, because the Oracle is like the hero that will save you if you get hexed or if for whatever reason you get initiated on. Universe has Blink Chrono again.
That's up to U9. The space to take down the range tract. Of course, ticking back down to that time where KP is going to be back in the game, so EG will be range racks and back. Nothing more that they can find here for the time being.
And they just gave Newbee a ridiculous amount of respect during that push. Like, a lot of teams would have just walked up that hill and just been like, yeah, your axe isn't here, we don't care, we're just going to hit your buildings.
Oh, and I think Crit may have been tanking up some of the stronger creeps, and SC, he just drops a Sunstrike, and he gets himself a freebie.
Well, that's one of those moments where you're sitting there and you're like, oh yeah, there's an Invoker in the game. I've been there. That's definitely happened. But,
Crit's got to be careful. You can't let yourself get low, indeed, yeah, with the Invoker in the game.
Refresher actually purchased as well in the Invoker, so he is pretty much maxed out. This is the strongest form, final form, whatever you want to call it. He doesn't have buyback, obviously. KP doesn't either. So this fight for a Newbee, this is pretty all in.
KP and Faith leading the way. Look at the ward down. EG playing very, very safe at the moment. And with all heroes off the map on the side of Newbee, EG, yeah, they realize something's up. In fact, well, they want to go for something themselves. They're going to smoke. All ults at the ready. And looks like they're actually going to end up avoiding each other. The line was drawn from RTZ on the top lane to push that one in. And Newbee, it's just going to be a case of both teams avoiding each other. The lane is relatively pushed in on the mid lane, so Newbee can come in on that if they want. After they see EG revealing themselves on the top lane, and well, RTZ doesn't have a TP on him, for instance. I think he may be just the only one. Actually, no, Crit doesn't either.
This is really nice movement though from EG. They're following the creep wave basically towards top, so if Newbee aren't in position, they can just go for the siege on the racks. Now they're just waiting it out to see if anybody's going to TP back. They have a ton of damage, by the way, so if nobody TPs back from Newbee, they can kill this even through backdoor protection.
They head to the secret shop to pick up those TPs and get back, but it's already too late for the melee racks top. EG able to finish those off. Now eyes towards the mid lane. Look for more here. RTZ just pummeling away the damage. Ripping through this tier 3. Kaka jumps forward. RTZ forced out. As indeed EG get a nice clean objective. They get the upper hand there with that play. Oh, there's the jump in. Universe gets 3 in the chrono. There's the chaotic offering to follow through. Faith dropping low. He's going to be the first out, but U9 pots the BKB. Sumail as well as his BKB going on to SC. Invoker's out. This is 2 dead, but they may lose Sumail. Falling low to the Eclipse. He'll go down, but they've lost U9 as well. KP, I don't think he can hold this on his own. It's just him and Kaka left. And GG is called just like that. EG closed the game. Universe with the chrono when it counts. The follow-throughs there from Zai. And it's all over just like that. First game of the series to EG.
It's like we spoke about during the mid-game. It's like if that chrono hits 2 or 3 heroes and Zai is in position, that fight is over. Like, there is no way you're coming back from that. SC was at like full health when that chrono ended, because I think he was, I think he got disrupted or something, but he comes out of the chrono. He's already slowed by upheaval. He has fatal bonds with his other teammates, and he just can't do anything. Like, there's nothing that he can do. He has no escape items, so that combination, when you line it up perfectly, just makes the fight so lopsided. It was just for so long, Newbee were able to avoid that happening, which delayed the game. They made a lot of really great plays, and I mean, I'm just glad we got a lot of games ahead of us in this series, because that game was actually a treat to watch.
It really was. And that ending as well. As you said, it all just kind of came together for EG. And it just goes to show, you know, that in a series that's looking to be this close, it's very hard to tell how it's going to proceed. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. Game 2 of Evil Geniuses and Newbee will be right round the corner, and we'll see if EG can come back with a repeat performance, or if indeed Newbee can step it up that little bit more and take EG down and bring us to a 1-1 and guarantee us at least 4 games in this best-of-5 grand finals. We'll see you guys very shortly. We'll leave you with the Chinese lads and ladies for some top-notch insight.
就成为一个全场的应该是决胜点了。
就是那一波的话，虚空假面引刀抓住了以后，虽然说第一时间就是1G 的这个输出点也没有赶过来，
对，
但是也是成功的拖延了对方的一个进攻节奏。对方就是Newbee这边，他们的斧王最强烈的一个控制点也是不在这个战场。
是的，
我觉得其实这一局的话，小黑几次狂风的释放也是非常的到位的。他几次在这个团战过程当中，利用狂风去打断对面技能的一个 combo， 以及像这一局，其实我觉得Newbee打的话还是很有自信的。像他们火女先手 T， 然后卡尔后手接技能，他们几次打都很自信。虽然说在最后那一波的话是并没有连中，但如果说连中的话，那应该是这个精彩激情当中的镜头了。
对，
就我觉得他们现在这个精神状态还是相当是不错的，只不过说是在这个比赛过程当中出现了一些或多或少的一个不为人控的因素吧。就那个西剑真的是让人觉得太过于惋惜了。
就这个点下，我个人觉得还是1G这个队在这个大赛的这个后期，他们的经验是占到了一个优势。这局其实我们看到比赛英雄选出来之后分路的话，和我们想的是差不多。
对，
牛逼的确是打了个钢3，然后利用这边斧王去优势单一个虚空。但是我们看到1G的话，最后是拿了一个术士。所以导致我们看到1G在前期在面对钢3的时候，他们并没有处于一个劣势。小黑体系在前期节奏还是很好，包括这边1G中期利用几波这个大招的 CD 也是占到了便宜。但牛逼其实在中期的发挥也挺好，他们几次这个高地都守了下来。利用这里的一个地形，还有几次装备的一个关键更新，最主要是牛逼在中后期的一个控盾，他们是好几次利用。对面的一个大招 CD， 还有比较好的一个时间点，把肉山给打了。这样的话，1G就打不到肉山，让比赛拖到了很后面。但是还是1G在最后他们的一个反应的一个速度比较快，对吧？然后这边 POM 立刻是把装备给更新成了这个金箍棒，还包括小黑也是更新了金箍棒。那个时候其实，我觉得1G这个阵容，它装备换了之后成长性还是比较高的。那最后的话也是利用牛逼的这里英雄没有买活，就战胜了牛逼。
其实我觉得在这个比赛过程当中，就是刚刚解说那边说了一句话特别的对，就这个比赛的话，因为双方的实力都很接近，所以说你一定要有一个选手能够站得出来。
对，
就你如果说大家都是一个很稳定的发挥的话，那这个局势就会很焦灼。但如果说你有一个人真正意义上的站出来了的话，那会瞬间把这个天平就给打得不平衡。
对，
所以我觉得最后一波那个宇宙哥虚空假面一个大招照中3人，
对，那个大招太关键了。
对，太关键了。因为虽然说那个 EG 在当时手上握有买活的优势，但毕竟在对方的高地上打，究竟能打成怎么样还不好说。但就是因为宇宙哥这一个大招是直接照中3人，配合上术士的一个大招，应该是将对方控在了原地，差不多有5秒到6秒的一个时间，就完全没有任何的一个输出环境了。
对，
就我觉得那一波的话也是相当的关键。
当时在比赛的时候就看对面3号位的一个发挥，其实在中期的时候Newbee战队是发挥的非常的好，他们这个斧王也是一度站了出来。Newbee最为亮眼的那一波应该是卡尔的那一波围魏救赵，我当时就脑子里面就想到这个词了。卡尔在中路是拖到对面的虚空跟 POM， 然后上路是把局势打开了，那一波真的非常的精彩。
但那波比较可惜是没有把那个冰银破掉，当时看那个冰银就100，
那个冰银是血很少，
对吧？如果说把那个冰银破掉的话，那这一波就特别的赚了，因为你会在中路兵线上给对方很大的一个压力。
对。
而且我在这一局当中，我是频繁的去看，就是双方那个开雾的节奏。就双方在这一局当中开雾的节奏很紧凑，但是开雾的成功率都不高。主要原因是因为双方对于雷达这个功能的一个使用都特别的到位，特别是1G。
对，是的，感觉像它就是自动释放，就只要对面一旦是消失在地图上，对面马上第一时间就能够知道你的位置。
对，这个雷达每次都是能够扫描到对方开雾的这几个英雄到底在哪个位置。比如说像这个斧王第一波跳刀的节奏也是，如果说不是他们那一边中路的一个雷达扫描掉了对方在塔后有人开雾，我觉得很有可能这个斧王节奏顺起来，这个局势就不好说了。因为小黑这个阵容，如果说被对方斧王把这个装备什么刃甲做出来以后，小黑其实是特别怕斧王的。对，但这一局的话，确实我感觉也是有一定的这个运气的成分在里面吧。最后也是要恭喜一下 EG 拿到了第一场比赛的胜利。 那么双方在第2局这个比赛的话，你们展望一下，觉得双方可能会针对哪些英雄去进行半选？我们前面说就是 EG 小黑体系玩的少，也确实是他们这应该是第1次使用小黑的套路。
对，我觉得这个小黑他们选的意义就是以选代班，因为他们是知道牛币的这个小黑是很厉害的。
对，
在之前的双方的一次交手当中 ，EG 也是搬了这个小黑，但是今天这个比赛的话 ，EG 是第1局就把小黑拿出来，牛币的话应该也是在之前准备的时候。也没有想到这边会拿这个小黑，因为EG现在都没有玩过嘛。
对。
但我们发现EG把这个小黑拿出来之后，的确打的还是有他们的节奏，的确还是赢了比赛的。所以我觉得这边牛币的 BP 后面可能会比较棘手一点，因为他们可能要考虑是不是要搬这个小黑，或者说自己抢。就
在这一局的话，小黑我记得他是出了一个进化刀，
对，出了个闪失。
对，你们觉得这个道具他是出于什么样的考虑会去做的呢？
他出了个闪失的话，主要也是能够放一下这个对面的风筝，然后可以驱散掉自己身上的一些 debuff 什么的。
对。
我们看到有一幕的话，就是一个斧王，然后在追这个小黑，对，一直散失，然后把他点死了。
对。好了，我们这边上一局的回放已经准备好了，一起来看一下。好，这个是在对方摸高地的过程当中啊，斧王利用自己的这个身躯去阻止对方去消耗高地防御塔的一个血量。
对，就是斧王就说你来点我，不要点我们的防御这个兵营。
这波的反打啊，牛币将这个技能释放 combo 接的还是非常的漂亮。
对，牛币在中期几个守高地的点还是做的特别的好的。
对，
还有包括他们对肉山的控制。
而且每一次当队友残血的时候，毒狗每次救人也是比较到位的。
可以看到 EG 在小黑阵容的强势期是非常的。
我记得在这一波毒狗一个非常亮眼的救人。
对，一个极限血量是将斧王这边给救了回来。队友的 AOE 能力也是非常的强啊！卡尔这边是利用自己的这个推波陨石，直接将虚空假面打残，逼着虚空假面交了一个大招，但是这个大招只是起到对方不能追击的一个作用，没有办法起到反打的作用。
是的，这边是闪失一下这个斧王啊，这一波就是这个斧王去追小黑了，后面。
是的，这斧王特别想去利用自己的这个追击去将小黑留下，但是因为有进化刀，直接进化。
对，这也只反映出来这个装备的关键性。
对，这一波其实就已经把进化刀这个道具的这个本钱给赚回来了。这1加1减是非常的划算。
不过本场比赛 POM 的这个射箭的命中率还是比较高的。
真的是有点恐怖。我对苏妙这位选手他使用的这些偏向于法术型的英雄，都是感觉印象很深刻。那虽然说这局 POM 在后期是转了物理核，对，但他在前期的这样一个法术技能的释放也是特别的到位。
其实中期有一段时间是牛币的一个强势期。就那个时候，露娜的蝴蝶出来了，对面是没有金箍棒的。
对，印象当中最深刻的一局就是他使用的 POM， 然后再使用的这个毒狗，是极限的翻了这个home 当时的一场比赛，
是的，
对吧？那场比赛他们是被迫3路，被迫3路极限翻盘。中路的一波反打，已经冲到了对方的这个双子塔，这一波是盾跟奶酪全部都交了出来。
对，这术士大招放的位置也非常的好，充当了一个团战搅屎棍的作用。
确实，这一波如果说从阵容角度来讲的话，1G阵容当中的一个容错率肯定会更高一点，因为他们又有术士的大，又有虚空假面的这样一个大招，神域者的一个救人，也还有这个 POM 的一个逃生，就导致他们这个阵容的话很难在第一时间你去找机会激活秒人，因为对方的反手能力实在太强了。
是的。
其实他这套阵容主要就是虚空假面这个大招，一旦放的比较好的话，这个术士大就是比较好的一个定位。
没错，我们先看看的就是这一波在上路的一个动手关键点。这第一时间虽然说对方没有激活秒掉露娜，但是己方这边的斧王也没有就位，双方在这里互拼一波技能之后，然后虚空假面跳进来锁技能，再进行一波反打。
他们第一时间去找这个神域者，
一个狂分是狂分到了斧王。
还好这一波卡尔是带盾的，
对。
然后露娜是有买佛。
神域者是吃到非常多的伤害。
小黑阵容当中的一个物理 DPS 能力真的是非常的恐怖。
你看一下 POM 现在这个站位，完全是。
这一波是后面一个一锤定音的大招。
对，
一锤定音，真正意义上的一锤定音。接近是5秒的时间没有动过啊，被虚空假面大出，然后术士这边再接一个大，输出能力也很强。
其实一度来说，1G是想把所有的战局是稳固在中期的时候，这样的话，就术士就先出了一个卫士进甲。
对，不过我们
在中期就这个结束比赛的。
对，是的。
我们在这一局当中也是发现了，小黑的阵容其实在这样一个后期的能力也是比较强。他是因为在后期因为有很强的这样一个推进点，一旦说你一波失误的话，他瞬间就可以把你推平。像刚刚这边的话，他们是 POM 开大，然后去上路是强拆， 强拆过程当中，虽然说用塔防坚持了2秒，我们觉得这波好像可能利用塔防可以守得住，但是塔防一消失，瞬间就大概2秒的一个时间，这个高地的这个近战兵就瞬间没有了。
是的，
对，
就你完全没有任何的一个防守的空间跟余地。
对，1G 这个阵容，他们的这个真空期在于中期的那一波装备的转换这样的一个空档。但其实牛逼也是让对面的这个装备的一个转换太过于轻松了。你看这边小黑有段时间在中期就一直在刷钱，
对，
然后的话是他们成功过渡到了这个双核的双 BKB，双核的双 BK 加上双金箍棒，对吧？
就在这样的一个阵容当中，双方在中期的一个节奏都是偏向于抱团，所以说斧王这个英雄的优越势就体现不出来。
对，
他的一个优越性应该就是在于可能小范围的一个 gank，因为他技能 CD 短嘛。
是的，在于这个双方的战场被分割之后，对吧？你无法去支援的时候，斧王的这个优势出来。正面打团还是虚空假面比较厉害。
是的。那如果说要评选一局这一局当中的 MVP 的话，你们会给谁？我会给宇宙哥。如果说是我的话，
宇宙哥是吧？
对，因为最后那一波那个大招一锤定音实在是太关键了。
对，那你给他，我就给苏淼了。
给苏淼。
他的装备的一个转换比较关键。
小雪你觉得给谁会好一点？
我其实的话觉得有几个英雄在我心中都是比较不错的，所以我比较难判断。
那你会给他们的一个团队配合是吗？
对，团队配合上面的话。
确实，这一局的话，我觉得就E.G 不再是像昨天这种全部靠着个人实力在进行这样一个对战。
对，
就今天呢，可以看到他们是真正意义上有这一个团队之间的一个配合跟协作的。就我们在昨天的比赛对他们印象最深的就是E.G好像对于兵线的理解特别的到位。他们经常会在前期如果说处于劣势的情况下，通过这个中期的牵扯兵线，把这个局势稳定下来。那今天这一局的话，我觉得他就是这个进攻性打局特别的好。
对，E.G的话可以说是一个打中后期比较强，他是个中后期队伍。然后牛逼的话应该是一个偏前中期的队伍，利用自己的一个打架优势来占到对面的便宜。
好的，那么在我们这边有一个4、5号位的数据板，一起来看一下。卡卡对阵在 KDA 数据方面来讲的话，卡卡是处于领先的位置资源占比方面来讲的话呢，依然是保持自己这个辅助偏发育的风格资源方面来讲的话是占到了14.56%，比卡卡这边要高出了2%。然后输出方面来讲的话，双方的一个数据。
Just a reminder, guys, the translations for this. The top is KDA, obviously. The second one down is the percentage of the team's farm. The third one is the percentage of the team's damage output. The fourth one is the percentage of involvement in kills. And the final one, well, it was the number of heroes they played this LAN, but I imagine it's now something else. So, I don't know what that number is. I'm sure someone in chat will know. Someone in chat is going to translate it.
应该是在团队当中5号位承担的会更加的多一点。
当时他在野区被击杀的时候，其实我们心里都是一紧的。然后后来发现好像还好，那一波他们稳住了。
对，好，我们现在看到的是5号位的数据对比 ，Great 对阵这边的小明在 KD 方面来讲的话，小明是占据到了一个比较大的优势
there we go. So apparently that's the amount of gold spent on support items. Thanks, chat. The bottom number that is. Bottom number, amount of gold spent on support items.
这个辅助道具的金钱花费应该是E.G会更高一点，对吧？因为刚刚在的这个辅助道具花费要比这个就是我们刚看卡卡要高出了差不多几百块钱。
对，他总是能把自己这个打得很肥在中后期。那这局的话，他是出到了这个点金手还有 A 杖，包括一个大梅肯，他总是可以在这个团队需要的就最关键的一个时期出到关键的装备。
是的，这局他的这个术士给我们留下的印象也非常的深刻。
是的，
对。
像原先我对在的一个认识就是，他对于道具的这个认知程度其实是高出一部分职业选手很多的。就他原先像玩狮王什么这些英雄，我们其实觉得狮王在中后期因为会墓碑很容易被清嘛，就显得很乏力。但是他的这个出装思路就是把自己这个团队装做得很足，然后在这个团战过程当中，经常的会有这样一个比较出色的发挥，就把狮王这个英雄在后期的一个定位也是提升上了一个比较高的档次。
对，应该就通俗点说，就是他前期的狮王前期的作用比较大，中后期的话就是大哥起来之后，然后这个他只要滑一滑，然后出点辅助装让大哥能发挥就行了。
对，能在后排给大哥加上血，然后能够通过自己这个墓碑在战场上面制造一点混乱就已经可以。
在这个选手的目前他打辅助的一个主要的价值还是在于前中期线上的游走和支援，他总是能把这个前期线上节奏都带起来。
那你觉得他现在打4号位跟原先打3号位之间哪个位置可能会更加的适合他呢？就现在这个。
我觉得其实有一个比较相似，就是他都是前期偏一个单兵作战的，就3号位和4号位。他4号位是一个人动，他不太会去带另外一个酱油。然后3号位的话也是这个自己一个人战线的。但其实我还是更比较喜欢他这个打3号位那个时候。他3号位玩一些像什么 DS 蜘蛛，总是可以去就一个人打对面3个或者2个不吃亏，对吧？
是的。
有一些这种更有趣的操作。
就3号位的一个操作空间，毕竟要比4号位可能稍微高出那么一点点。
是的。
但现在来讲的话，蜘蛛这个英雄在3号位上面也是非常的罕见。
对，
原先好像还会有队伍在这个 BP 当中，就可能是最后一手阴一下，藏个蜘蛛。但现在好像大家都已经不去考虑这个点了，他可能大概是在哪个方面被大家去就是在 BP 当中没有去考虑到，就不强势了吗？
对，我觉得蜘蛛首先这个英雄他并不弱，然后他是一个比较配体系的英雄，还有跟队伍的习惯有关系。就这个英雄的话，就目前他作为3号位来说，他不如现在其他的一些3号位，类似于像现在这些虚空假面啊，还有大鱼人啊这些的。它的功能性没有这些强，应该不是说它弱，而是其他几个英雄出场率比较高，比它厉害。所以说的话是它的这个地位没有他们高。
而且现在这个版本的话，其实是比较偏向于打团的。就像我们来看，有很多的数据都是来说现在的参团率其实都是非常高的。而异母蜘蛛这个英雄的话是比较偏向于带线的，其实也就是拖了一个团队就是整体的一个节奏。
3号位有点毒瘤了，没有办法在这个中期站出来去带领团队找这样一个就是关键的节奏点去打架。
对。
哎，我们看到这边是有一个小贴士是吗？互相伤害这是上一局这个刃甲反弹伤害这是整体的一个刃甲，
整体的
对，11125，这个数据确实是很夸张啊！这是宇宙哥所保持的这样一个记录。现在刃甲这个道具斧王做的居多吧？
对，就是玩斧王的这个。就是这个选手玩斧王的英雄，玩这个英雄他多的话，这个数据会比较高，对吧？
而且刃甲斧王在这个团队过程当中，前期如果说比较顺利的话，他这个输出能力是特别恐怖的。就特别是我们刚刚说到，就是像小黑这种阵容，因为本身他的物理输出来的特别的猛嘛。就如果说你斧王在前中期把这个刃甲做得很快，然后在这个团战过程当中贴到他的脸上，很有可能他一套就把自己打死了。还有比较典型，就像主宰这种也是，主宰其实也特别害怕斧王出刃甲。就一旦说被斧王这个刃甲吼住以后，因为他的一个物理爆发也是来的特别的快，就也很容易就是被这个斧王一套直接给击杀掉。
而且斧王的话，他那个加护甲是可以这个抵消一下剑圣无敌甲的一个伤害，对吧？
那么上一局的这个 POM 发挥的其实也是非常亮眼。在下一局的话，有没有必要去针对这个 POM 进行一下半选？
我
觉得看情况吧，因为 POM 的话，现在并不是这个版本特别热门的英雄，还是在于我觉得小黑这个点，就看牛逼到底是考虑自己拿，还是要去搬。有可能我觉得1G下局是会搬这个小黑，要看这边谁是先选谁是后选。因为1G的话，这局拿了小黑赢了之后，他可能觉得牛逼会拿这个英雄，而他自己不一定能够会很好的去针对。因为我们看到1G在之前的几场比赛的话，都是搬对手小，不管是谁。
好的，那么双方第2局的比赛现在应该是还在准备是吧？
还在准备当中。
那么在此也是先感谢一下我们的赞助商，感谢宁美国度对于本次比赛的大力支持。更好的性能、更优性价比的集成电脑服务商，轻松上分学刀塔认准 GoGoSu.com MDL 2016官方赛事点播平台飞熊视频。看战队赛事回放，请登录飞熊.tv 或下载飞熊视频 APP， 看视频无广告，凭赛事赢大奖。同时感谢766 APP 对于本次赛事的大力支持。更多 MDL 秋季赛实时战报，请关注赛事官方合作 APP 766 APP。好的，那么在上一局比赛，其实 BP 拿出来之后，我们就讨论过，就觉得好像Newbee 在英雄池方面来讲，确实是有一点点浅。
对，是我们看到之前那个数据对比，Newbee 的话，英雄池的确是要比1G 要浅，这样他们在 BP 的空间上是要比对面小很多的。我看到最主要1G 就是最后手那个术士，Newbee 的话是，包括我们也没想到他会点这个英雄。
对，
而且我觉得Newbee一开始点出露娜这个英雄之后。1G 应该就清楚Newbee是肯定要来杠3的，所以说他们也是拿了小黑之后补了个术士去保证自己优势路会比较强，让这个小黑在前期的线上会比较顺一点。
那你们觉得这个最后一手的卡尔点的有问题吗？
最后的卡我觉得点的没有问题，因为这个英雄是 SC 英雄池里的。之前的话，像我们看到其他几个，包括蓝猫、黑鸟都是被ban了。那这样的话，Newbee肯定会选一个 SC 目前为止就玩的最溜的，而且也是手最热的一个英雄。我觉得这个卡尔应该是没有什么问题的。
对，而且他也是可以配合自己的阵容去进行一个推进。毕竟他们这边选了 ST， 再加上选了这个毒狗，再加上这个 Luna 体系，本来就是一个推进的，再加上卡尔有个小火人，也是一个非常不错的。
对，我觉得这一局Newbee总体来说还是拿到自己比较舒服的阵容，不管是他们的1、2号位，还是他们的3号位。我们看到这局开辟其实斧王是很肥的。还有包括他们的游者的这个露娜，还有这个 SC 的卡，都是最近玩的很多的英雄。
是的，好的，那我们 BP 已经开始了，我们先进 BP， 然后再聊。好，那么现在收看到的是我们总决赛1G对阵 Newbee BO5的第2局。
对，
那么1G已经拿下了第1场比赛。
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more of the grand final of the Masters TV Dota 2 League LAN. Newbee versus EG. We're into Game 2. Game 1, of course, going the way of Evil Geniuses. I'm ODPixel, and I'll be joined by Drastical, of course, once again for this game. And Andy, Game 2. Are we going to see more of the same? Apparently not. I mean, the Drow's been banned. Kunkka's coming through. Are you expecting another close one?
I mean, I think that Newbee actually played last game very well, given how much pressure they were under.
Yeah.
And they actually almost managed to turn it into a win. So for EG, I feel like, we got by real close in that game number 1, and it was very, very close for Newbee taking themselves. So yeah, I'm expecting a close series. Could even potentially go to a full 5. But I think that just taking it at a completely different change of pace is kind of nice when you're ahead one game, because you just say, okay, we played the Drow strat, it worked, didn't work maybe as well as we wanted it to, but now we can just do something a little bit different. And EG have a pretty wide hero pool, I would say, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they draft here in Game 2.
Well, this is an interesting opening from Newbee, getting the Oracle into Slardar. They're picking up that Slardar. That's, something that Newbee will do, but it's certainly leaving a lot of other relevant teams.
So.
Yeah, they're going back for a bit of a repeat. EG, second pick, they'll take the axe this time around. Universe looking to show KP how it's done. As KP, he had a tough game, didn't he? I mean, both of the offlaners, it felt, last game did. Universe, it was a hard game for him to hit the Chronos, and for KP, it was a hard game for him to find the calls that the team could follow up on.
Yeah, I mean, even going back to the early game when they were fighting in the river, it seems like so long ago because the game was almost an hour. But if he had just hit that call on Universe instead of Universe dodging it with the Time Wall, like, that one fight could have completely changed the outlook of the game, because it would have been like a 3 or 4 man call and it could have been a disaster. But I think Axe is actually the hero that caused the most problems for EG, maybe barring the Shadow Demon during the last game, because he was the one keeping the melee racks alive. Like, he was blinking in, calling Artur every time he walked high ground, just pulling him back and slowing those pushes for so long that it allowed Newbee to kind of claw themselves back into the game for a little while. So, like you mentioned, EG being able to pick it up here, it's a great hero. And I think that if EG want to take a page out of Newbee's book and run some aggro lane, a 1v1 matchup would be very favorable for EG at this point. So we'll see if they want to actually set themselves up for something like that.
I do like the Lifestealer ban from EG. That is, I mean, letting a team having Slardar and Lifestealer, that's a combo in itself. You know what I mean? We've seen a lot of times where that gets through, and you can just delete heroes off the map once you get the blink.
Well, especially
and the armlet on a Lifestealer.
Axe and Kunkka are like useless against Lifestealer for the most part. Like, unless you're really far ahead on Axe and you have like blade mail and a lot of armor and stuff, the Lifestealer will pretty much always shred you. And if you have a Slardar as well, like even if you're very farmed, you can still die quite easily. So I also think that U9 played that the other day against EG and beat them with it. So yeah, it's another hero that they've had experience against and just don't want to have a repeat.
Well, 4th ban for EG. In terms of heroes still there, Sumail's Storm Spirit is still in the pool. I mean, do you think there's potential that EG would take, or do they not want to would they not want to sit up against what Newbee have here?
Well, it's not about that. I just wanted to point out, because you mentioned Storm, I'm looking at the AM ban, and I'm like, Storm becomes a lot better if AM's not available.
So you think this is Newbee? Yeah.
Well, it could be. I mean, they could also just want to pick Invoker again, because I think the AM is kind of the problem for Invoker a lot of games. But, yeah, I mean, I think that Storm is actually still very good in this pool for either team.
We'll see if one of them takes a hold of it here with these next 4 picks, 2 picks for each side. It's Newbee with the first. As you said, obviously with those AM and Morphling bans, that they are kind of setting themselves up for something that's going to have a harder time of being countered by EG.
I mean, even the Naga and the Drow ban kind of helped the Storm as well, because Drow pushes you too fast for the Storm to be effective, and then the Naga Siren just makes the game, it just slows the pace too much. The waves they push out constantly, it becomes very hard to gank. So in a lot of ways, a lot of these bans make the Storm pick very solid. But I don't think, maybe they pick it as like 4th or 5th, but I don't know if 3rd pick Storm is really going to be something they can do. Because if Newbee, for instance, take it now, EG can set up not only another roaming hero if they want, because they already have Kunkka, and they can counter pick the mid, which makes it both a good and a bad hero at the same time.
Newbee. I mean, another thing that EG, do you feel they have to be a little bit worried about? The fact that a Huskar could be born into the mix for the side of Newbee?
I think Axe is really good against Huskar.
Okay,
in most scenarios. I mean, it is always a possibility because the combination of the Oracle Huskar itself, like you mentioned, is still very potent. And if you get that 5-man going and the Axe doesn't hit the right calls, it can still be very, very difficult for that lineup to deal with the Huskar. But at this stage, I'm thinking if it's going to be picked, it's going to be like a 4th or a 5th. Because those are the types of heroes that if you pick them too early, they just get too countered, which is why I figured that if they were going to pick Storm, it would be, later on into the draft. But I'm guessing from Newbee's picks right now that's pretty much a mid-Timber, right? Unless KP plays it and then they do support starter? I don't know. I think it's probably just mid-Timber.
Yeah, it looks, to indeed be in that place. And well, Arteezy grabs himself the old Fuzzy Wuzzy and Newbee. We'll see if they do try and slip in that Huskar pick. But as
they're
you said,
taking a lot of melee into Timber, by the way. Like, a lot.
Yeah.
And Slardar, which is like...
Yep.
I don't know, this is going to be a man fight game. Everyone's a strength melee hero. Let's go. Go run down mid and attack each other.
And Newbee, what's the planet? I mean, yeah, if they did pick something like Huskar EG, they still have room to pick up something like an AA. I mean, as it stands, Ancient Apparition wouldn't be that bad really in EG's lineup, would it?
The hardest part about AA is laning it properly. I guess if there's no like Ricky in the game or there's no Bounty Hunter, I think that AA is a lot easier to get away with. But I don't know if you can pick Huskar against these heroes. Like Ursa Axe, you just explode. That is like the worst heroes to play Huskar against. The only thing that would make it worse than this is having like you mentioned, an AA or a Ricky. Because Cloud just owns Huskar. AA ult obviously does as well. But yeah, I don't know if they can take that hero anymore. If they do, it would be the manliest Huskar pick I've ever seen.
I'm certainly thinking about this for a long time, down to 20 seconds left on the reserve time. So you'll be giving this one a lot of thought. We'll see what the option's going to be. It's going to be Witch Doctor. So,
we've seen a lot of the Slardar Witch Doctor combo, actually.
Yeah.
People like to amplify with Death Ward combo. It's very strong.
Yeah, and I guess with the duration of a crush, you can do a fair bit of damage with the Death Ward, and they can't escape. EG now, with their 4th pick, still looking for their 2nd support. And of course, Samael's here to finish it off. We'll see what
there's something else to note about having so many melee against Witch Doctor as well, because you have to be in close vicinity to get auto attacks off. It makes it so cast bounces are much more reliable, whereas most team compositions are going to have at least 2 to 3 ranged heroes, and then it's like not gonna bounce like 50 times. But I could easily see this being like 2 heroes blink in, Ursa and Axe. They get hit by a cask and they're stunned for like 8 seconds. Like that kind of stuff can happen when you have so many melee.
I mean, obviously one of the heroes that... there we have. Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, the Storm Spirit coming out for Samael. So still that final support for EG. Support that we saw feels like quite a bit from EG earlier on in the land that less so has come through here is the, of course, the Omni Knight. Picked up to side alongside Ursa earlier on. Kotl's going to be the ban from Newbee. Is there any potential they get the Omni? I mean, backing up an Ursa and a Storm Spirit, it could be good, but at the same time, do Newbee have ways to deal with an Omni Knight?
I mean, it would be really good in the sense that it enables 3 of their cores to pretty much go ham. I do like that in theory, but it does make their lanes pretty weird. They would have 4 melee and a Storm. Granted, Newbee don't necessarily have the greatest roaming potential either. I mean, yeah, it's possible, actually. They could run Omni here. The only thing is, you would have to decide which one of between the Kunkka and the Omni who's not going to get any items. Because I think that Kunkka normally wants to get at least a decent amount of farm, but if they play it like Vici did, where they just sack him completely and just buy a bunch of regen instead and just buy brown boots and stick with that the whole game, it can work. I just think it's a little bit greedy, even for a team like EG, who has pretty much 4 farmers.
Yes, yeah. I mean, something else that would kind of maybe fit the bill, but may help in the sense this range would be the Dazzle. I mean, obviously they've taken the axe for themselves. There's not the chance of it being countered that way around. I mean, EG, could they finish with Dazzle? Yeah?
Yeah, I think either... Dazzle's probably better for shoring out the lanes, because then you at least have some like decent lane support. Oh yeah, there's the Omni. Okay,
yeah, they are back for the Omni. The classic kind of EG favorite.
Yeah, they've been playing this a lot throughout the entire tournament. I just think that Omni is the more stable mid-game pick, whereas Dazzle would give you better lanes, but having a repelled Storm or a repelled Ursa is just a nightmare now, because Newbee, I guess they're last picking their core.
Yeah.
They're going to need something that probably buys the Fusel Blade. I was thinking TB.
Yeah, something like the TB. I still kind of want to see him be dirty and pick a Huskar, but as you said, it would be a hard game. But yeah, you're right. It's the TB. So they finish it off with that. And in that sense, as you say, EG, they have 4 melee and such that it feels like there are weaknesses, but they do have Sumail on the Storm. They have, obviously, heroes they're very comfortable with. This is an EG lineup through and through. But at the same time, Newbee, they are looking pretty strong here, Andy.
Yeah, I like Newbee's team, actually, with the Terrorblade to round it out. Because Reflection is incredibly strong against melee heroes, and they have 4 melee heroes. And they're against a Timber as well, so you're only going to be able to repel 1 target. I think this game is going to be fun to watch no matter what happens.
The question is, are we going to just see both teams going for the safe lane tri-lanes, or like in Game 1, will Newbee try and go aggressive against the Ursa at the start?
That's actually a good question. I don't know if Terrorblade's an aggro hero. That's the only thing. I mean, the supports are definitely capable. Like, Witch Doctor and Oracle are really good for running aggro lanes. Witch Doctor especially, because his base damage is insane. And he has the Voodoo Restoration and a good stun. But I think it's more likely that we're just going to see more standard lanes.
Well, here we have it. University for a quick pause, but ladies and gentlemen, as we get ourselves into Game 2 between Evil Geniuses and Newbee. EG, of course, at the moment, a game up in this series. And Game 2 looking to be something largely different from what we saw in Game 1, which is nice, of course. It's always nice to have a bit of a break from the old Drow strats. And indeed, that is going to be what we get here. So, for EG's lineup to succeed, what is there kind of crucial timings? Do they have to do well early on? I mean, if they start to fall behind to the pushing power of the TB, is it going to be kind of very hard for them to bring them back?
I think, yeah, if they fall behind in the early game, they are going to be in huge trouble. Because Storm, he does need quite a bit in order to really get going. Like, you want minimum, like, Bloodstone, like level 12 or 13, so you can get more points into your Vortex. And then you can really start to become a nuisance. But prior to that, they're going to be relying on, if they can, securing Roche, which I still think is going to be hard, because I don't think their lanes are super good or anything. But EG have picked these types of lineups in the past during MDL, and they've managed to make it work a fair amount. So I'm not going to say that they're going to lose their lane super hard or anything, but I don't think they're necessarily gonna win them either. I guess we'll have to find out. And the grand scheme of things, for EG, their win condition, if you want to call it that, is secure whatever Roche you can.
Yeah.
Get to the mid game without getting crushed in the lanes, and then you will have a repelled Storm or a repelled Ursa, and that's your path to victory right there.
There we have it. The game is ready to go, and of course, one player that a lot's going to be on is going to be on Universe again to find these big players with the Axe once he gets his items done. I mean, the question is he going to have a bit of an easier time this game on the Axe than KP did in Game 1, or is it still a very hard game for an Axe to find those perfect calls?
I think this is an easier game for an Axe. Because when you're playing against Chronosphere and Chaotic Offering, it's like if you mess up your call on that game with those huge teamfight potential abilities, you are just screwed. And we saw what happened when his calls were not good. So this time around, Newbee are more of the we can fight at any given stage type of lineup, which is similar to Game 1. But when you don't have these huge impact abilities that punish you when you miss a call, then it's not as bad. And I think that Universe is probably going to have a bit of an easier time himself, because landing good Chronos against what Newbee had last game was also fairly difficult. And it looks like they are going to be looking to set up the 1v1 between the Slardar and the Axe, given the way that Universe is positioned bottom. And if they can get that,
this favors EG?
That 1v1, yeah, the 1v1 is going to favor EG for sure. If they decide to do some clowny aggro lane, which EG have done at MDL, then I think that they're really just looking for Universe to have a standout game. Oh, they're going to switch it up. They're going to dodge, it looks like. Okay, so Newbee just don't want to go 3v3, apparently. And they just want to make sure that they're going to have their off lane against the tri-lane. I think
they're going to get... I mean, do EG then react to that again and switch, or do you think EG just accept that that's going to be the lanes?
I think that EG want a Universe to have a better start, honestly. Because if he gets to a faster blink, that's going to set their game plan in motion much faster. He's one hero who can really change the outlook of the game for them, which is one item. Whereas everybody else kind of needs levels, and they need a little bit more gold to really have that influence. But looks like EG have already adapted a little bit. They're going to send just Zai in the roaming capacity. SC's in trouble here. He only has armor. Looks like he's going to be able to walk it off.
Yep. Well, I guess they did have a torrent from Zai to follow through, but even with that, it would have been hard to chase down for the kill. But at the least, of course, just forcing SC out of the lane for a bit, so it gives still some out. Good little bit of a starting wave. Yeah, it's going to be all eyes on Universe really to see how he performs up against this tri-lane. I mean, is there potential of this tri-lane killing him? Is this a real danger zone for Uni?
He has to be pretty out of position, I think, to die. Kaka's got the Maldic level 1 though, so that's going to help a lot. A lot of Witch Doctors are going back to that build nowadays because it just helps you do so much more damage as a support who typically gets the Voodoo Restoration and then offers almost no damage. But yeah, I think he should be alright. The one concern is that he's skilled Battle Hunger at level 1. So in order to even be able to go to the jungle to recover, he has to hit level 2. And he really, I mean, he can kill the small camp if it wasn't blocked, but Newbee are pretty much on point here with preventing him from getting anything out of this early game.
Indeed so. Bottom lane looking to be good for Newbee. Elsewhere across the map, Sumail 10 for 3 against the Timbers SC 4 for 0. So kind of similar story to the last game where we're seeing Sumail getting this advantage at the start. So we'll see him be able to roll with that. And that of course leads to the top lane to talk about where RTZ at the moment 8 for 3. And they are able to zone KP out nicely. So KP certainly get minimal amounts from that top lane as well. As it goes across the map, kind of even in terms of who's getting what. Mid lane, Torrent to connect. Sumail and Zai will just force SC back. The pressure's certainly on, and look at this, Universe. Yeah, just having to resort to clearing up A camp with the Battle Hunger, desperately trying to find that level 2 as the lane itself is not safe, but Babe, he's got eyes on him. And so is Kaka. Kaka's level 2 as well. He's going to get some, if he gets some good bounces with a Paralyzing Cask, and he does, Uni is going to be in a lot of trouble with this Maledict on him as well. A few more right clicks. The heal comes through from Crit. The repel actually will be enough to save him. So good TP over to the mid lane from Crit to save Universe. And now maybe the turnaround. Zai still got a bit of timing left on the DD. One more slap should do it, and it does. Zai the Pirate, or the Aberrant, in fact, takes him down. So good reactions there from EG coming across, saving Universe and securing them that first blood.
A very nice reaction. They know that even in a 1v1 like Slardar versus Ursa, it's fine to leave Arteezy up here. It doesn't really matter that much, he'll be fine. And the supports on the side of Newbee were fully committed to stopping Universe from getting anything, so like you mentioned, perfect reaction coming out from EG. Hopefully poor Universe can finally hit level 2. There we go.
There we go. He's got it. So we'll try and come back into lane, but of course U9 at the moment putting a heavy amount of pressure onto the tier 1, already down to half health. There'll be a scan for the Radiant. Yeah, EG just checking if there's more around, and it's been confirmed. So Universe just has to play it very careful with 3 heroes on the side of Newbee down on that bottom lane, eyeing him up. As the top lane and the mid lane remain the 1v1, and indeed Universe is going to get some backup. Zai's down here, and Crit's on his way too, so just looking to try and do something about the state on this bottom lane. And Torrent onto Kaka. Universe, in fact, looking at lane coming back in. Arteezy with the TP through as well. They're looking to punish the aggression of Newbee, and Arteezy, one more swipe should do it. In fact, well, Zai with the Torrent, he's going to be able to nab that kill for himself. So a second one for EG. And again in these early stages, EG just turning around the plays of Newbee very nicely. They'll keep the tower up for the time being. And yeah, second kill, and Newbee just being punished for their aggression.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect way of putting it. If you look at their lineup, they have basically 2 stuns, right? They have the Cask, and then they have the Slardar Crush. And KP doesn't really seem to have any interest in fighting, at least yet. Maybe he wants to hit 6 first, you know, whatever. But if you throw out a Cask, and you're using it aggressively, and then you just start getting ran at by the enemy team of EG with no disables left, you can't really fight them. That's probably one of the scariest things about their lineup is if they're running at you and you don't have everything available to fight, then you're pretty much dead.
And now with the lanes kind of moves around as well, that the side of EG is just finding the best places for them to be. Artor's down on the bottom lane now. Uni into the jungle. They'll put Crit on the top lane to get a few more levels on Omni Knight. And still the middle lane matchup remains Sumail and SC. 29 for 9 against 22 for 1. Sumail still with the edge. So EG looking to definitely have the favourable time here in the laning stage. And as we said, something that was pretty crucial for them to pull off this lineup.
Yeah, but the start they're having, everything is going perfectly, more or less. I mean, the Timbersaw started to catch up a bit mid towards Sumail, but you kind of expect that once he gets Chakram and stuff, it's going to be very hard to deal with him. He's got the 3 points into reactive, so even though Newbee have also given away a couple of kills, it's fine, I think, for them because their Terrorblade is still the #1 farmer. Like, U9's got his meta up again. He's 1 experience away from level 5. they're going to get the safe lane tower, and EG aren't even going to try to fight for it.
Top lane, there was a bit of a go from KP as he tried to take down Crit, but again, Zai has just constantly been in the right place at the right time, hitting these torrents, saving his teammates. So a lot of very impressive performance from Zai so far, and not just this game, but the series as a whole, as he's making it very hard for Newbee to just find their first kill of this match. But as you said, the farm for U9 still sits at the top of the last hit, 6 minutes in. So Terrorblade yet to be slowed down, but, you know, Sumail, there's going to be a point where he will be zip-zapping across the map and looking to join the rest of his team in finding those big pickups. And Universe as well, he has really caught up. With 6 minutes in, he's now hit the level 5, so having that early trouble of hitting the level 2, that's certainly all but gone, as the recovery has been pretty sweet for the side of EG.
A lot of that's attributed to being able to push the supports of Newbee off their side of the map for a little while. I mean, Artur is getting a little harassed down here, but he's not too worried about it. He's got a 4-man's and extra Sal if he gets too low. The biggest concern that I have right now for Newbee is their supports. They're both very low level comparatively. Like, Crit's level 5. Oh, actually, Sumail getting a little low here. Got a regen.
With the help of Universe as well, indeed. We might see a bit of magic here from Sumail with the regen rune. He's going to try and play around it. Dodging the damage, keeping the regen rune flowing. There's Crit turning up as well. There's a TP through from Faith. Sumail realizes with that he can't quite go for it. At the same time, Zai did actually end up going down on the top lane. He was hanging around for levels, but the supports came into play. And Unan turns up as well. So Newbee will find their first kill on the board. And we'll try and turn that into a tier 1 push as well as they come in. And we'll see what EG can do in response. The TPs are coming through. They want to try and hold Zai. With the X-Mark set up onto KP, Torrent are following, Crit and Universe are there, hitting the call, getting the spins, KP's down. Can they get themselves anything else? It doesn't look like they can, as Newbee have already backed off away. And will get themselves out, but KP paying with his life there. And managing to rectify the fact that Zai gave his up for free up top early.
Those spins were actually just insane. He calls and like instantly spins twice. Pretty sure KP might have lived there if he didn't get the Delaware, but again, it's the story of the supports really on EG just being much more successful in this early game than what Kaka and Faith have been able to accomplish, but
Maltese's got to be careful. I mean, there's a Invis Timbersaw on his way round.
I don't think he's going to stop though, I think he's fine.
Yeah, they've actually scanned it as well, just to confirm, so they know that someone's here, Invis. Zai, he doesn't have any detection, I mean, even if he did. Not a lot of ways that he could have got that kill on his own, as elsewhere, EG are still split up across the map. Crit's found his level 6 finally from that top lane. Sumail continuing to get the farm, as we can see, 54 for 17. It's a very, very good start for the Storm Spirit, and he has the potential to have one of those star performances this game. Bottom lane, RTZ and Zai, they want to go for a bit of a go. You know, you talked about the fact that Newbee's supports needed levels. Faith's trying his best, but he's on his own here. He's going to get caught out by Zai. RTZ, he's going to take that one down. Was disarmed, but immediately pops the Enrage. No messing around for the big old bear. So he can punch that Oracle to pieces. And a 4th kill for EG.
Yeah, this game is, it's not completely out of hand or anything, but you gotta be real careful about how many kills you're gonna be giving away at this stage in the game, because the higher level that Ursa gets, the more possibilities there are to go for things like Roche, and with the Omni Knight already being level 6, it's gonna be, there's gonna come a point where that repelled Ursa is gonna be running at you soon, or the repelled Storm, and you need to have an answer for it, and right now, Newbee, they just don't.
Sumail towards the mid, really got eyes on the mid lane. Zai is there as well, and he does have level 6. They could maybe try for something if they can connect to Torrent. Up towards the top, Universe looking to guard the 10-minute rune, and well, Sumail's going to be able to take it from SC. SC has the backup of Faith. EG, they have 4 members towards the mid. Crit's come across as well. Looks like just kind of rotating the lanes back around, allowing Universe to head up top. So Crit's out of the top lane, Universe is in. Bottom lane, again, this Timber can't get a break. SC looking for the bottom room, but Arteezy takes it from underneath his nose as well. As Newbee,
the thing about...
I mean, the group top of 4 at top, is this the best play for the man to keep it? They've got a chest to try and take objectives, get spacing, and get secure farm for U9.
They're trying to get the most benefit they can out of Metamorphosis when it's up.
Yeah.
Because it's a fairly long cooldown, right? It's almost 2.5 minutes, and it's just a normal skill. So if you can group up, take towers, keep your net worth, fairly high, and get your item progression on point, I think that's still a really good path to victory. Because there's no blink daggers yet on the side of EG. Universe doesn't have his. You don't have to really worry about the storm with an Orchid or anything. It's still quite a ways off, and there's even a chance he goes back for a Bloodstone instead. So there's still room for Newbee to make a comeback in this game, and I think the best way for them to do that is pretty much what they just did, and take towers. Maybe if you can sneak a Roche, that would be good. You do have Slardar ulti.
Oh, seeing a smoke from Newbee as well. Now coming towards the mid, Zai smoked a bit behind Sumail. Newbee may try and go for a go on the Storm Spirit. RTZ's come across as well. EG at the full 5-man sweeping across. Actually going to be the go from Zai here as he gets the grab onto SC, the boat flying through as well. Kaka falling low, and RTZ turns up with a false promise is there from Faith, allowing SC to back up. Now eyes towards Sumail, but he's healed up by he can get himself out. Deford's dropped down, but Crit simply walks it off. EG maybe thinking about going back in. The Torrent combo onto U9. Universe, if he can get in position for a call, it would be nice, but for the time being, the Voodoo Restoration enough to keep Newbee topped up. And no one to go down in this altercation, as both sides keep each other alive.
Newbee go Roche though, right? Yeah, they definitely Roche here, because they just took like everything away from EG. They're still all at full health. I think they can kill it. Maybe not. They're still kind of sticking around in the area. I think when you have like this type of lineup that Newbee has, it's about as easy to kill Roshan as it is for EG. The only difference is you have to commit more heroes, whereas the Ursa can kill it at any given point. But wait, did he get a regen? Oh, Artur got a regen. Okay. I thought Sumail got one, but I guess he just TP'd back. And he's not going for Bloodstone either, he's just going straight for the Orchid, so this is a very aggressive Storm build.
And Universe has got his blink done as well. So next fight like that. I mean, we saw there Universe was obviously just struggling to be able to walk in position for a good call, but if the fights happen like that, especially around these kind of grouped up positions towards the mid lane, got the chance of good calls, and well, there we have it. Bringing SC back into the boat, but of course the Fate Seedic there from Faith protecting him from all that magical burst. As EG can't really follow that up, and this is going to be one of the issues, kind of like the Shadow Demon. That Oracle is always going to be in a position to save whoever EG goes on. And at this stage it's going to make it very hard until, Sumail, once with that Orchid, potentially just going to look to zip straight back to the Oracle each fight to make sure there's no chance of Newbee's cause being saved.
Yeah, and there's nothing they can do to stop that either, because it's going to be a level 4 repel on Sumail as soon as he has that Orchid finished, and he's going to go to the back line, kill most likely both of the supports by himself, and then you're going to have to worry about Blink Axe, Blink Ursa coming at you from the front. It's going to be a very difficult team fight, I think, for Newbee to take. And Roshan is like probably the best thing they could possibly get, but they're just not being given the room right now from EG. Because an Aegis will make it so that if the Storm commits to a fight and he goes like all in, perhaps he'll be out of mana by the time you're respawning or whatever, and you can take that fight. But otherwise, I think that EG are actually in a fairly dominant position right now, just based off of their hero composition, and due to the fact that they all have the initiation items that they actually need at such an early stage.
KP does now have his blink as well, so in turn, Newbee themselves, they can look for the avenue to jump in, and that's going to be what they do straight away. They're smoking. It may be smoke and Roche, but they do have Metamorphosis. No, the line's been drawn. They want to try and find a kill first. So with the wraparound, KP didn't have the greatest blink reveal in game 1. See if in game 2 he could do something different. The smoke. Oh no, EG grouped off. Oh, the cross from KP catches out too, but in return, Universe gets the call onto 2 on the backline. Faith has to false promise himself. Kaka gets dunked down. He's going to be the first to fall. U9 trying to take down Crit, but he hasn't quite got enough damage here. Zai being focused by SC. The Whirling Death will finish him. Universe gets another call onto U9. KP jumps to the back, takes down Crit. RTZ goes in rages. He's lost his teammates though, and now himself could be in trouble. It's a 3 for 3. SC eyeing up RTZ. KP just getting himself away from Sumail. So a bit of a scrappy fight there from both sides, and ends up being a 3 for 3 trade as 2 supports and a core go down from either team.
Man, that was such fast reaction time from Sumail. So they smoked because they missed the scan, so they assumed that they had time.
Newbee nearly finding him there. He's fine. He's okay.
Yeah. But Sumail dodged the crush initiation from KP, which allowed him to reinitiate, go on the back line, catch Kaka, catch out Faith with the ball lightning, and Zai also landed a pretty nice combo. There was a bit of a misplay there, though, from Crit. I think he healed Sumail instead of Universe, which would have saved Universe and killed U9, instead of them losing the Axe, which could have resulted in a better overall teamfight outcome. But I guess it's very hard, like, in that split second to decide who you want to heal at that point, and he was maybe like a tiny bit out of range. He would have had to move to throw the heal out. But either way, slight benefit there from Newbee.
Somehow, one up the bouncy rate. 7 for 4. EG still keeping the advantage in kills, but I mean, as we can see, it's so close. I mean, Sumail and SC have pretty much the same net worth at this moment in time. There's only a couple of dollars between it. And at top, still sits U9 on the Terrorblade. 2-1-2 at the moment as well. Towards the mid, Sumail. He's very close to having that Orchid, yeah. He's pretty much got it done. Just 100 and he'll have the recipe out. And then we'll see those fights it become a little different.
He's going to have a DD as well. This is going to be
And he's
spooky.
level 11. Yeah, this is...
You repel that storm, he kills anybody on that team right now. Okay, maybe not by himself if it's a Timber.
It's on its way out, the Orchid. But this next fight could be quite something. EG, they're going to send RTZ into the pit. They want to start to try and do this Roshan.
Strong timing here from EG.
There is this ward here, so, you know, Newbee know exactly what's up. They're going to smoke up and go. All about KP's Blink Crush. RTZ still in the pit. They'll crush onto Zai. Trying to take that Cooker out, but the repels there from Crit. Physical damage is enough to bring Zai down. No, it's not. And the turnaround as they come in. RTZ on a killing spree. They take 2. They take 3. And indeed, it's Sumail with that DD zip-zapping around. They've got the vision for the X mark onto KP. They're going to be able to take down a fourth, sorry. EG finding the perfect fight around the pit. It was all a bit of a bait. They sent Artur in. Newbee came up, coming straight across for Sumail's positioning, playing around the fight, taking down the Roche now. What a huge leap forward there for EG in this game.
This game has got real hard for Newbee. Like, real hard. I mean, sure, the DT, or the DD was very fortuitous, and yeah, they didn't really get the best initiation because they went all in on a support. And then as soon as the repel came out, there was basically no follow-up damage. That was like the worst case scenario. I think Newbee maybe expected them having a little bit more time before the showcase of the Orchid, but those supports just exploded. And even U9 really couldn't do anything about it. And I think it's gonna be a continued theme in this game. As Sumail is just gonna kill Faith and Kaka like over and over again. And they're just, what are they supposed to do to stop it? If he's repelled, they can't disable him.
With this kind of lead, and as you said, with that kind of backup behind him, it's going to take a real big mess up from Sumail to fall down in a fight. And this game, he's certainly proven to play at the top of this game. So that in itself is going to be unlikely. So, yeah, as you said, Newbee, they need like a perfect crush into, I mean, good bounces on a cast. But as you said, if a repel's there, he's going to get away. And that in itself is not a lot to disable. So even if there isn't a repel there, good luck at trying to kill him before he gets out.
Yeah, it's very troubling for Newbee this game. Their draft, they kind of had to do, I think, a little bit better in the lanes, and obviously losing that fight in the river, which resulted in Roshan, is a huge blow to them, but there's going to be a very long period of time this game where the repel is going to be a huge nuisance. I would actually like to see U9 dispel the defusal now, and they're going to catch Zai here, the bottom lane, so that's a nice kill going the way of Newbee. But yeah, he actually just needs to go like mad to defusal so he can prevent the repel from being as much of an issue as it's going to be.
Universe is kind of eyeing this up on his own. I mean, not really something that he'd want to jump into. In fact, top lane, they talk about the supports just being punished by Sumail. And that's it. If they get caught alone on the map, Sumail, it's a very easy kill for him. He's now got 2.5k gold on top of having that very early Orchid. They need to start doing something about this storm, and it may just be too late already.
This is going to be the Sumail show, I think. I mean, even from the beginning, you know, he didn't really have a hard lane. It's against a Timber, so Storm against most melee does fine, because Remnant and Overload and stuff like that, but I mean, Newbee are looking to make a move here. They don't see the Omni Knight, so Crit's actually off map right now. He doesn't want to show, because if he shows, then it would give Newbee the information they need to engage. And he also doesn't have a TP scroll either, so nice little bit of play there. But yeah, Newbee need to do something. Like, they need to get U9 his defusal.
TP up to top. Both in U9 on the defense as RTZ was pushing the lane in. He has himself got a lot of items at this stage of the game. Blink, the life steal, and the skull basher on the old bear. Bottom lane. Crit having a bit of an eye onto KP. In fact, KP was the one to make a bit of a go, but Sumail reacting. KP has to be careful. If anything, he has to just get himself the hell out of there. He has got the TPs. He's just going to hide in the tree line. So he should be fine. I mean, unless Sumail comes across, drops a remnant, and sees him. Just keeping eyes at the moment. He's on his own. Really needs someone to TP across if he wants to try and make some action happen, but that in itself, it's going to be very hard. Zai's there, crit as well. To back up Sumail. Meanwhile in the mid, Universe continuing his item progression as well. You know, he has the Blade Mail, the Blink. 600 on top of that. And bottom lane tier 1's going to be the focus for EG. So KP is in position to come round from behind. But Newbee, they just don't seem like they're built to fight this side of EG at this stage of the game, and they have to let it go. Sumail takes another tower. More money into his pocket. He does now have, you know, a large pretty much Bloodstone just seconds away from being complete on top of Orchid.
How does he keep getting regens? Like, what is this rune luck? That's like his 3rd or 4th regen this game so far. That is like the best Storm rune. Okay, maybe DD is like real good too, but still.
Oh, there we have it. Playing around with SC. Just zoning it back for the time being, trying to get another tier 1 here with the team as EG group up as 5. Push down the mid lane. Newbee just desperately trying to pick their supports back up. KP working his way down the bottom lane, and U9, he still needs time. He's got Dragonlance and Manta, and he still is up there. But Sumail starting to create a gap between them. SC looking towards RTZ. RTZ has RTZ 2.6k gold as well. I mean, what does he finish off next here?
I wonder if he goes Aghanim's this game.
Yeah.
BKB is obviously a go-to because you can just like stop yourself from getting stunned, but I don't even know if he needs BKB. I mean, Diffusal's always a choice for Ghost Scepters that are going to come out on the supports, but Sumail's pretty much taking care of the supports. So he's free to pretty much make whatever the hell he wants. Aghanim's is good, Diffusal's good, BKB is good. Like, any choice, really.
There we have it, though. Sumail, 23 minutes in. Bloodstone. Orchid. It's at the ready.
Is he buying it? That has to be a BKB, right? He didn't just randomly buy a Bladestone.
I guess.
I mean, the one thing about EG's lineup, okay, and I'm gonna go off on a little bit of a crazy theory here, but their team sucks at hitting buildings, right? It's real bad. They don't have any siege. And I don't think he had that. Did he have the Blightstone before?
No, I'm pretty sure. You're right, it's just a bit. So we're getting the Deso for a bit of that tower push, and well, that whole kind of swap it down, get one touch in for the debuff, and then pick up the lifesteal, and we'll hold that for Universe. Gets the call onto the axe. At the same time, RTZ jumps onto the back of them. Boat comes flying through. SC trying to look to get himself away, but the X-Spark brings him back in. It's going to be the Timbersaw out of this fight. You just have a KP with a very nice 3-man crush. They need some follow through the GA at the moment, keeping the side alive. Sumail has his eyes onto KP, ball back into the torrent, the slam down. They'll find a second EG, and they're not done yet. Universe comes in with the call onto Faith. RTZ, one more swipe, should bring him down. He has to false promise himself. But EG, they'll actually get the torrent on Kaka as well. Orchid drop from Sumail. They'll find another. There's a buyback from KP, comes in with a 2-man crush. SC as well chops through. It's a great buyback. They managed to secure themselves some big kills in return. SC still on the chase to Zai. On the side of it, U9's looking for Sumail. Sumail out of mana. Only just being able to zip himself away. KP hot on the chase. If they can get Sumail as well, this could be one of their best buybacks, but it's going to be the suicide. He realizes he has to. But that buyback from KP, allowing Newbee to swing it back with a huge crush by the tier 2, allowing SC to come in and chop them down. And they managed to kind of hold against EG's aggression there.
Yeah, that was so worth it. I mean, he landed multiple 3 or 4-man hero crushes, so KP was bringing his A game to that team fight. And a very much needed defense. Maybe they can even secure this tier 1 without EG being able to do much. See how heavily they want to commit. It's like everyone's going to be TPing in, so I guess it just gets denied perhaps. it is in range currently. But I mean, that fight kind of showcased how hard it is for them to really deal with Sumail. He was falling into their team when he had like 20% mana left. And his Orchid usage there was phenomenal. Like, when they were going NSC, he didn't Orchid the Timber, which I think a lot of players would have ended up doing, and just waited for Faith to walk in to try to cast False Promise, and then just threw the Orchid out onto him instead. And that way it ensures that there's not going to be any save for the initial death of the Timbersaw during the fight. And even with the buyback, I still think that EG are feeling, you know, pretty comfortable. They lost a few heroes, but Sumail didn't give away any gold. He did lose some Bloodstone charges, though.
We can see on the net worth, you know, EG's lead, it's pretty much just held it around the 5k. You know, a fight that could have kind of boosted up more was kind of leveled off by Newbee being able to turn it around like that at the end. But EG certainly still in the driver's seat. But Newbee showing us that if KP can land these crushes, it can still be very hard and disruptive for EG to fight into as a 5-man. Indeed, there we have it. Deso picked up on
Alright, our
Arteezy.
just got griefed. So he X'd Arteezy to TP back to base to get his Deso out of the stash, and then Zai X'd him before he had his item. And so he just came back out and doesn't have any of his stuff. It's pretty good.
Poor Artor.
That's a grief play. That's a baby rage in a report, I think.
I think Zai would have done that on purpose as well. Just for the giggles.
Yeah, but I haven't seen Deso Ursa in a while. And by a while, I mean like I've never seen Deso Ursa before.
Oh, let's go. Well, Diffuser Blade has been picked up now by U9, and as you said, an absolute crucial pickup for him this game. As this can really help him just actually find kills without having to worry about crit keeping them alive too much.
This Diffusal, if used properly, should be able to turn the fights.
That's easy. He's found SC. He's actually going in on this, but KP comes in with a crush. Sumail zips to the back line. He's looking to go for Kaka, but Arteezy just getting focused. He pops the enrage. He is repelled up. Death dropped down by Kaka, being kept alive by the false promise. No one to actually die as of yet. Kaka falling low, zipping across, looking to chase down EG. Arteezy has to get himself out. Sumail has managed to pick up Oracle on the back lines of this, but Newbee, they're still looking to find more. KP comes in with a cross onto Universe. Arteezy trying to take down the Slardar. Universe gets the call. Arteezy comes in with the punches. They'll find KP as well, but Newbee still not done. The slap to the back from SC takes down Artor. Crits in potential trouble as well. Double kill for the Timbersaw. Universe, he's got to run. He's got to hide. But the chase is there from SC. It has the Yules to set up. And Newbee, they're not done. They'll find themselves another triple kill for SC. What a fight for them there.
Sumail wants to make a play, though. He's got DD. Kaka has no mana right now.
Oh, boy. Can he do it?
He can. I think he can actually do this. He's a little bit scared, but...
It's still 4 up at the moment.
Alright, with 4, yeah, you can. If the Oracle wasn't there, he might have.
And he's out, but EG, fights like that they cannot afford to take. We'll expect to see the swing round happening. And a deep back towards the 0 point after